a little bit about doing a contractor funnel today. TJ, obviously, I'd love any feedback you have because I know you're actually currently doing them. But I really wanted to just get like a discussion around it because I've noticed that a lot of people, they hesitate to do them, like really follow through with them. And it honestly, it's so easy to just to go back to the people we've worked with or, just kind of do what's been easy. But when you do the contractor funnel and you get kind of a rock star from that, like your life changes. It makes like everything easier about flipping. It essentially takes away like all the stress. And yeah, it's a little different. It's something, you got to put a little bit of work in weeding through some people. But when you're able to get something done that much cheaper, the end result is insane. How you can start like just skyrocketing profits. You can, you can do less flips and make more money, work less hours, have more control, have people in general that are like cool to work with. Like it's so awesome to be able to hire someone at our price and then to be happy when it's all done versus like overpaying someone and them to give you shit about it, which is probably one of the most annoying things I run into is when I actually do give in and say, okay, man, I'll pay you an extra 1,000. And then they complain the whole time. And I got to deal with that. And then I'm like, so I don't deal with that very well because I'm like, I already paid you more than I should. And I got to deal with the complaining. Like there should be a complaining charge because the complaining is the big thing for me. I'm not saying I have some guys I pay a teeny bit more because they just make my life really easy. But for the most part, if I make too big of a habit of that, then I lose my competitive edge when buying and I start losing deals. So TJ, your house is actually a perfect example. Your house only makes sense if you can keep the budget reasonable. If you go way over budget, you might not have the upside to kind of make up for that. So I'm pretty sure your house is going to be beautiful and it's going to sell for probably more than just about any other house in that neighborhood has. Because so far every house you've done has kind of hit the top comp and done really well. So I have no doubt that's going to be the case. So like just keeping on the track you're on right now of cutting costs and getting things done really affordably, that's really a secret weapon. Now I know Micah and Christine are working on like getting an electrician right now. So it seems like when it comes to the contractor funnel, probably some of the hardest people to get obviously is always going to be electricians, plumbers, HVAC, things like that. With that being said, if there ever was a time you were going to pay a teeny bit more, those tend to be the ones. What we got to be really careful of, though, is paying a teeny bit more and then getting change ordered. And, then next thing you know, I've had people who are like, I wanted to pay them 4,000 and they charged me 4,800. And I was like, okay, 800, I can live with that. But what they also did was then next thing you know, every little thing I needed, it was like, that was an extra 200. This is another 300. That was another. And when I would look at my bill at the end, it somehow became $6,000. Right. And I'm like, how did we get the $6,000 from I was supposed to be at 4? And then that happened across a couple things. So I think sticking to my guns is really important. Sticking to your guns is really important because as we're hiring contractors, it's always a big thing. Nancy and Jim, we were actually talking about doing a contractor funnel. So I think it's actually pretty good timing for you also.
Thank you.
And I think that in general, this contractor funnel piece is something as a group we should just be doing, sharing with each other on the Facebook page, whatever it takes. Because me and Delonte and Rashad helped us for a bit. Tanya's been doing a big part of it. We've been running this funnel for well over a year before I shared it with anyone. I'm talking like tweaking it and messing with it, and it always worked. It just required more work to make it work, if that makes sense. It required us some heavy lifting. What we found is like over messing with it for a year is I had to find a way to make it work for my time schedule, which is very little, obviously, which probably is your time schedule too. It's just about everyone's time schedule. No one has, 2, 3 days they could sit there straight running a funnel. So it's important that when we run the funnel that we do it effectively and efficiently. The leverage points when you're running your funnel is doing the work on the phone before you meet people. The part where the funnel falls apart is if you're meeting people too quickly or too soon. Like you fall in love with them on the phone, they say a couple good things, you don't qualify them very well, and next thing you know, you're meeting them, and then they're trying to convince you that it's, oh, well, I've seen it, you probably weren't counting on this thing or that thing, and this other thing costs a little more. And we really do want to try to qualify the crap out of people on the phone so we can almost not guarantee, but I would say it's close to guarantee that when they get out there, they're not going to try to be shifty or change their mind. And even if you do all that to guarantee and you ask them 17 times and qualify the crap out of them, there'll still be enough people who come out and change their mind anyhow. But what we're trying to do is minimize that because emotionally, it's impossible for us to talk to 3 bad people and they tell us a high number and us not to be affected by that. my job as your coach, obviously, is to bring you back to center and say, hey, listen, I get it. You know, a bunch of people are telling you something different than me. It's sometimes easy when a contractor's in front of you, they're at the job, to believe them over me. But I promise you, I don't ever give you advice lightly. You know, if I'm ever giving you advice, it's always being well thought out. You know, it's a lot of practice and time involved in it. So I rarely will ever give you, I don't think I actually ever will give you advice that hasn't been well thought through, and I haven't taken the time to really think about every little detail of it. If I'm not sure, I'll kind of tell you and I'll say, hey, let's think about it more. So know that when I give you advice quickly off the top of my head, it seems like it's coming from a very, you know, oh yeah, it's just this kind of like very flippant, very quick place. But it actually is a ton of thought, a ton of research, a ton of practicing and tweaking. There's just so much. That's why it comes off my head so quickly, because I own the stuff that I'm teaching. I really will never share anything with you that I have not tested. And if I do share it with you, I'll tell you, hey, this is a idea and it's something you could try, but like pay attention and measure, because like it hasn't been proven, but it could be a good idea. And we would be looking at it more like a test, or, you know, something we're trying. But when it comes to most things, I'm actually saying, hey, I've already tested it. I've already tweaked it. I've already went through the School of Hard Knocks. You know, I've learned all the little lessons, and here's here's basically the nuts and bolts of what works and what doesn't. So the contractor funnel, the first piece, and this is probably where I'm seeing now that I'm getting more feedback, because a big part of what I get to see now that I've kind of rolled it out within the last couple of months is I'm getting to see people use it. And one of the pieces that I'm seeing with a lot of people using it is they are leaning back to their original people instead of using the funnel. I have nothing against your original person, and I don't think that your original person, you know, should be kicked out if they're willing to meet the numbers. But when we set numbers, and I think TJ's proven this based on what he's doing with his waterproofing and his foundation stuff, when we set numbers, there's always the ability to do it even cheaper than the number. And I would suggest that throughout a renovation that you will have to pick a couple things strategically that you will cut cost on and do, say, not yourself, but maybe where you manage people, manage labor. You'll have to be very strategic about things you could get done cheaper than the budget, because there's going to be a few things that come up that are more expensive than the budget. So TJ has saved a bunch of money on his foundation and his waterproofing, and that's an amazing way to start your flip, to be honest. I mean, it's just a great way to start. It's like really big items that could have easily went way over budget. And there isn't a flipper in the world, if he would have spent 10K doing that instead of like 5 or 6K, whatever he's coming in at, if he'd have spent 10K, there's not a house flipper in the world that wouldn't have said he did a good job. The difference between us is we're the 1%, right? We're training to be different and better than everyone else. So we don't really accept. I mean, if you're looking for validation, you can go into any group and they're going to tell you 10K for what he did is a steal. But the reality, right?
I put 10 I-beams in, and 137 feet, well, 10 I-beams, that was a job in itself, and then 137 feet of waterproofing and 2 sump pumps, including labor. I had 2 guys with me. It was 4,000.
Yes, I mean, that's insanely cheap. And I'm telling you right now, if you told anyone you did that for 10K, they'd be like, you robbed the contractor. He couldn't make money. You're like, hey, look at you like you were a bad person, probably. And meanwhile, if a contractor would have charged you 10K, they should have made 6K, right? I mean, they would have been able to get the same labor, manage it just like you did, and they could have made a 6K profit. And, you know, and again, that wouldn't be a bad price. At the end of the day, I wouldn't, you know, doing 10 I-beams and, you know, 137 foot of waterproofing, 2 sump pumps, that's pretty awesome price at 10K. 4K is the difference maker. And if you can do that across your flips, it's how you start making 50, 60K a flip, like instead of making like 30K a flip, or it's just how you can do insane stuff. Like you never ever have to worry about getting deals. And I don't want you to do this on every single job in your flip, because then what would happen is you would end up working really hard and you wouldn't really be able to scale your business at all. But I love when you get to do it on something where, you know, week or whatever it took and you got 6K back. Like, come on, man, that's a steal. And honestly, you might have struggled to find someone to do it for 10K. I'm sure you probably did, because like your waterproofer wanted 8K just to do the waterproofing. So I doubt you would have got the foundation done for 2. That's probably more of an 8K job than the waterproofing is, just because there's so few people that know how to do the I-beams and everything. So everyone wants to charge an arm and a leg for them. So great job on that. And the next question is obviously there's some things that you probably could just pay regular price on. But the next piece is how do you get creative on the electric, plumbing, HVAC, and get someone who can do it affordably? What I said to Mike and Christine today, I really want to resonate with the group is, you know, sometimes it's easy to just pay $1,000 more. But the reality is we're not doing this for this one flip, right? We're thinking long term. We're thinking more like delayed gratification. If we put a little more work in today, like we legitimately will, that money comes back to us so big. Like you were able to save 6K, but I would say that probably across your electric, plumbing, and HVAC, you could easily shave $1,000 off your cost on your previous homes on each one. And if you shave 1,000 on each one, that's $3,000. And if you do that every house for, you know, you're going to do 5 or 6 houses a year pretty easily. Once you start to get your rhythm, you're getting things done faster. You know, you're talking like a lot of money, right? You're talking like 3 times, I mean, 6 houses, like 20K a year almost. I mean, I don't know. I mean, 20K a year is pretty awesome, right? I mean, it's a nice amount of money, and that's just on those 3 items. If you can really nail the big stuff, and those 3 items tend to be where a lot of people do go over budget: electric, plumbing, and HVAC. Ray's actually found someone who's been keeping his electric and plumbing down. I believe he's been doing, I don't know if he's just doing the plumbing or just doing electric, but he's cut his costs down considerably. Like he's just a guy who knows how to do electric and all that. And he's just kind of doing it really affordably. So, I mean, he's getting it done. And his houses aren't all beat up and don't need permits most of the time. Sometimes they do. But for the most part, this guy's kind of knocking it out for him. So there's always a creative way. Like when I found my plumber who does HVAC and plumbing, and we got our prices dialed in, he figured out how to be profitable. Like he's been working with me for 6 years now, right? He's been working with me for 6 years. So this is not, you know, this is something that's worth doing, right? It's worth kind of getting and really weeding, because you could spend very many years with this person. It could really end up being your person. It's kind of awesome that I haven't had to find, you know, for the most part, I've had a core plumber and HVAC guy for 6 years. Now, because I'm always growing, he can't do all my work. He can't keep up with everything. So I still have to hire people, but I've always had a foundational guy getting most of my work done for me. And then I just have to hire guys here and there. Like if I partner with someone, or, you know, I just got more houses than he can do, which is not uncommon. So, you know, it's, you know, we want to put the work in. So putting the work in, now that TJ understands that work and he took time to get a deep understanding of it, there's nobody ever going to come in and tell him any different than what he knows. See, he knows now that it basically cost $500 for the material, and, you know, probably took a day or two to do the work for the I-beams, right? So let's call it even 2 days, 2 guys to do the work. It's like a little bit of work for sure, but bottom line is, like, it never justifies, you know, a $10,000 price tag, or a 5,000 even, really. So if you were to pay someone, say 3 to 5K, they would be making very good money to do this. And I'm not against the 5K price tag on that foundation work. I mean, the problem is that when you get people in, they're not going to give you a $5,000 price tag. They're going to tell you 15 or 20K. They're going to tell you 10K minimum. They're going to hit you with numbers that are so insanely ridiculous. They basically are just like, you know what, like, I'm trying to hit the lottery. And I mean, I'm sure they have overhead if, you know, they need to be paid well, but man, if I was ever, you know, I feel like if I ever had to go back into construction, I'd be doing stuff like waterproofing and that stuff, because they get paid big bucks for that. It's kind of crazy and insane how much they get paid, especially for a clean, open job like you have. Now, for everyone else, so electric, plumbing, HVAC, and these aren't always easy to be specific about, but what I would recommend is getting your ad out and holding back the sensation or the drive towards meeting people, right? And then trying to get them to tell you what to do. Because what you're going to do when you don't understand the work a little bit, you're going to want to meet people and ask them questions. And effectively what you're doing is, as soon as you start asking someone, you basically have probably destroyed the opportunity for you to be in a leadership role. Because, you know, if you're asking them, they're generally going to tell you what they believe. Our job is not to ask contractors, but it's to start telling them and teaching them and doing what we call thought reversals with them, right? It might be like TJ's guy might say, man, it's 138 foot of waterproof. There's 2 sump pumps, right? I mean, come on, man, I can't do that for 8K, less than 8K. I wouldn't make any money. The thought reversal might be like, hey, I get it, man. But look, you know, how long does this take? And he's like, oh man, it's taking me like 3 or 4 days. Okay. You want 2 guys on it? You know, okay, guy, how much you paying your guys? Oh, you want 200 a day? Awesome, right? So you've got about, I don't know, $1,500 in labor. The materials is like $1,400, like $3,000, man. You're making $5,000. I mean, you could do this for 6, right? So when you start having that conversation, breaking the math down with them because you understand it, like some people just be like, F you, I'm not doing it. But I have to tell you, I've had people come in $7,000 to do electric. And I'm like, look, man, it's this many guys, this much material. You could do it in a couple of days. And, you know, I need it done for 3,500. And, you know, the one dude, Ryan, he finally said yes. He said no 2 times, and he came out to the third estimate because I keep getting them to come out if they're willing. And then he came out the third time and said yes. And then he ended up working with us for 5 years almost. But, you know, we had to work out how he could get his costs down, because sometimes that's what we do in a leadership role. But it's difficult to talk to them about their business model if they don't think you know anything. If you're asking their advice, then you don't really get the ability to give them advice, right? Now, since I come in and they like, oh, this guy knows a little something, right? Throw that tape measure on your side. It makes you look official, like you actually know what's going on. You know, they might look at you very differently. And this goes for women, men. I mean, you know, they think you don't know anything as a man. They're definitely going to, you know, give you a lot of pushback, and they're going to try to convince you because they're going to think they can. And they're going to try even if they think they can't. But I mean, I just have a discussion with them, right? It's a debate. It's like, no, I hear what you're saying, but, you know, I have to be prepared, right? You have to be well prepared to make your argument. So anything you hire out, I would say taking the time to understand it enough to be able to not do it yourself, but enough to feel like you could do it yourself almost. Like, that's how I got really good at getting foundations done cheap. Is I got so many estimates on my first foundation job. I think like 12 or 13 over like a week. It was insane how much time I spent out there. But by the time I talked to 12 or 13 people, I watched some videos, I read some books, and got online and did some research. I actually started thinking I might be able to do it. And then I smacked myself in the face and said, come on, man, don't be stupid. You can't do this. But I thought I could. I had a high level of confidence around it, even though I'd never done it before, because I'd filled my brain with so much good information. And it allowed me to talk and work with them in a way that, you know, I finally got one of the 13 people to do. Everyone was giving me a price as high as 55K to do the work. I think the lowest was 20. I ended up getting a guy to do it for like 6K. And I think the whole total price was 15, but he actually for 15 did waterproofing, did the foundation, he tore a deck off, and he did a driveway, a huge driveway for 15. So it was like pretty solid deal. I think the foundation and waterproofing stuff cost me probably like 8,000 to 9,000 total. And it was way worse than TJ's. It was actually pretty about the worst foundation I've ever done, actually. So it was pretty bad. It was caving in pretty bad. And he actually jacked the house up and put a whole new block wall in, which is, and then he self-filled every other wall. I drilled holes in them and filled them with concrete and put rebar in them. I mean, he was pretty insane what he had to do, and really to make it nice. With that being said, that's all you got to really do, right? I mean, we just have to find a way to understand enough that, you know, we can get it going. And I found a guy, and eventually that happens. Now, if you can get an understanding of what you're hiring out to where you can have a conversation with someone, you know, and sometimes you might get estimates, you might have people come out just so you can gather information. And when you gather the information from them, that's the ammo you need to go get the right price. So Christine and Micah actually got a couple electricians out, and you're talking like 4 or 5K, and the house doesn't need like all, it's going to be saving most of the electric. There's some wires being put in, maybe, you know, wire needs to be done here and there. It's not like they're saving most of the stuff. So 5K is a lot of money. I'm thinking more like 3,500, maybe 3K. With that being said, a lot of people are telling, oh, well, the reason it's 5K is because you didn't consider this, you didn't consider that, that's not up to code. Well, I'm like, cool, now that you know all that extra stuff, go ahead and do a video, talk about that extra stuff, go walk through and say, here's what we want done, and put out a price for like 3 to 3,500 and run the funnel again. And let's see what happens. Because I'm confident there's someone out there who can do it for that price. And if, you know, instead of just, you know, paying 4 or 5K, and because you really can't create a competitive edge if you keep overpaying for everything. And there's someone out there that can, you know, that has some good sense that can make money. Right now, if you need a foundation done and waterproofing, you might be able to talk to TJ. He might be willing to do it for a lot cheaper than most people. You might be able to get him to, yeah, you probably would. What, 10K would you do it?
That job I would have did. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like 10K would be a good deal if you did that for someone. If someone could get all that foundation done and waterproofing for 10K, I would pay that and not have a problem doing that. I mean, 2 years ago, I would have gladly paid that.
Yeah, bending I-beams is just it had my balls in a pincher.
It's kind of, yeah, it's a little nerve wracking, isn't it? I mean, when you're putting all that pressure on them, I know it kind of made me nervous too.
But the wall's actually straightened out an inch already. So
yeah, watch. I mean, it will. My wall was so bad, and within like a month or two, it had completely straightened it out. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's really good stuff. I mean, again, I mean, so the point I'm making is like, you now know how to be profitable at 10K to do a major foundation fix and a big waterproofing job for 10K. And you could make 6 grand doing that. And you could do that in a week with some help and make 6 grand in a week. I mean, I don't really know why that isn't considered good money. Like at what realm that's not like really good money actually. So get my point, right? I mean, I think, overall, like people would be lucky to have someone who could come in and knock that out for them. The only reason I ended up learning to do this myself is my guy who was doing it for around like 10K, who was my TJ at the time. His name was Bill Fell, and he, I don't know what happened to him. He just got a mess. He stopped like showing up, and he was having some personal stuff going on, but he, kept saying the jackhammer blew up, but he just never, it took him forever. He like waterproof a job. It took 2 weeks. And then he's, he was at my personal house telling me, oh, I'm here working. I'm like, Bill, I'm standing in the basement. He's like, no, you're not. And I'm here working now. And I'm like, I'm in the basement. You can't be here working. Like, are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm not. What do you think? I'm bluffing? I was like, I'm in the basement, dude. I don't play games. I ain't got time to play games. I'm here. And he's like, oh, man. And I don't know what he said. He said something, well, my guy said he was there working. He must have lied to me. And I'm like, well, you just told me you were here working, but whatever. So I ended up firing him because that just went on for like another month. And he worked with him for like 5 years. So we gave him a lot of opportunities to stay because we don't like to get rid of anyone who's been successful with us, quickly. We get rid of people who are new that suck quickly, but once they've been with us a while, we like to kind of help them give an opportunity to get back on track if possible. So bottom line is, if you can now, TJ knows he could literally talk to someone, and he could literally talk to the people who end up doing the work and give them an opportunity to start their own waterproofing waterproofing / foundation business. Number one customer is going to be TJ. I mean, TJ could then refer them to other people, and he could create standardized pricing with them of like labor. We buy the materials and, maybe pay them $2,500 or something to do the labor for the waterproofing. And I'm sure they'd be more than happy to do that, right? They'd be more than happy. They wouldn't need a license because most of the time we don't pull permits for it. So, you get my point. When you can teach someone how to make money, they end up being your long-term BFF and very loyal to you, because they didn't, they obviously didn't have the skill before. They met TJ. I mean, I don't know if they could have done waterproofing or not, but now they definitely can. And he knows they definitely could do it on the next house, with minimum, give them a little less supervision every time until eventually they're just doing it for you. And now you can get waterproofing done for, I don't know, 4K instead of 7 or 8.
Yeah,
Makes a
I
lot of
did.
sense.
I averaged out my price of my between my generator rental, which I had to rent for a week, and which was like, I don't know, $400, and then the jackhammer rental was $200. So I just went on Craigslist today, yesterday, and bought an $800 generator for $200 off a guy who never used it.
Nice.
So,
I got a jackhammer for sale if you want to buy
it. Maybe the next one.
Yeah, let me know. It's sitting in my storage bin. Remember the guy I was just telling you about? Well, he
Yeah.
got I gave him a deposit, and he kind of did half the work, and it ran off and left his jackhammer here. And I was like, you need to give my money back if you want your jackhammer back. He's like, nah, you keep jackhammer. It's like, thanks. Asshole.
Yeah.
You had like $1,000, and I don't want that shitty jackhammer. I mean, it is a jackhammer. I mean, I'd probably sell it for like $200 or something. I think they cost a lot of money, or like $1,300, and it works. I used it in my front. I had to jig up some concrete. So
Yeah, but
next time.
I could have did that whole job waterproofing only for $2,300 if I wasn't renting stuff. So I know where my price point is now. You know what I mean? So.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's kind of insane. And when you consider the fact that when the last house you did it in, it was way more than that, right? I remember you did it in the one house in Glen Burnie, and the guy charged like 7 or 8K, and said it was a big job or whatever, needed 2 sump pumps. I don't know. They were always like, needs 2 sump pumps. So freaking what? Sump pumps don't cost anything.
Mm-mm.
It
was 1,200 labor and like 1,200 materials.
Awesome. So that's really cheap. I mean, that's even cheaper than what I'm doing it for, which, kind of resets the whole understanding of what we're trying to accomplish here. So, so lesson for the day then is obviously, did you find the people to do the labor from doing an ad on Craigslist?
No, it was a guy that's worked for me landscaping for years, and he got his cousin to come in for a week and help.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. Well, obviously you were able to do that through your connections, but if you didn't have those connections, then the funnel would have been the way to do it.
Right.
So you now know, you got 2 random people to help you, and no problem. There's always someone out there that knows done waterproofing a couple times who could do the digging, do a lot of the labor, because waterproofing is pretty simple, beyond the labor of it. And, the actual laying the pipe and connecting it and all that, that's pretty basic and not very hard labor. It takes like a couple hours to a half a day max. All the hard work is digging it, digging it all up, cutting the concrete, carrying it out the house and doing all that. That's all the hard work.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, yeah, go
Yep.
ahead, man.
No, YouTube is your friend.
Yeah, you can learn stuff. You can sound smarter than you actually are, right? So anyhow, that's so big one then for everyone really is to just consider where can you cut cost, because the pricing, a lot of people have to make the jump of going from what they used to pay to what I pay. And they're like, well, what you pay, Mike, is so much cheaper. And first of all, that's a major jump to go from where you were to where I am. What I want you to now consider, and I guess what Ray's getting a little bit of a feel for, is that I'm not Ray, TJ. He's getting a little bit of a feel for is that like it actually could be even cheaper than what I pay, because I would pay somebody 2,400, 22,000 in labor all day just to do it, and then it's about 1,200 bucks in material for me. So yeah, I could easily pay someone more and be very happy with that. TJ actually just got me thinking like, hey, maybe I can be cutting costs. But, he's there managing it a little bit, so that allows him to get a little better deal. But I want you to think about once you get to where I tell you should be, and right, because I'm basing mine off like kind of the numbers I'm giving you are really the max you can pay and remain competitive. So don't think of it like, well, this is what Mike pays. Maybe he's been doing it a long time. Think of the numbers as what I give you as just where you need to be in order to get deals. Because if you're paying more than what I pay, then you will very quickly it'll get very hard to get deals, or your profits will go down. And most people will not accept a 20K return on a flip, and you probably shouldn't. So if you want to make 25 to 35K on your basic flip and like 35 to 40 on a little harder flip, well, it's going to require that you at a minimum reach my numbers. Now, if you want to get kind of crazy with it, then I kind of guess that I've never thought of this, but I'm looking for the day when someone says, you know what, Mike's numbers are too high, right? That would be kind of awesome, right? But that is going to require a little shift in thinking. And I think you have to make the first shift first, right? The first shift first, obviously, and then you go from there. So Ray, I don't know if you heard any of the stuff with TJ. He's basically kind of just did 137 foot of waterproofing for $1,200 in labor and like 1,200 in material.
Yeah, I was trying to
Pump
text
pumps.
Nikki to see how far TJ would travel for work.
Exactly, man. You've got a whole waterproofing business, TJ. See what I mean? But like, so this is what's so funny and cool about this is that if TJ, this is such a big opportunity for TJ, well, guess what? It's an opportunity for someone else out there. So there's someone else out there who could do waterproofing 3 days in and out with a couple man crew, they pay no more than 150 to 200 bucks a day. That's high, by the way. And they would be able to make quite a bit of profit if they were doing a waterproofing job for 4K, right? 4K materials, everything, or 2,500 in labor, something in that ballpark. They could make pretty good money because if they're, they got two guys, 200 bucks a day, that's just going to be, $1,200. They get to make the other 1,300 for a couple days work. It's not home run money, but if they're really smart, they probably got some guys that aren't making 200 a day. There's probably one guy making 200. There's probably another guy making 125. That the humper, the guy that's like doing the digging and everything, he's probably not making as much.
Mine make 120 a day, both.
Yeah. There you go. So that's and that's very real, by the way. And when I say 200, I mean obviously that's being generous. And maybe someone on the crew makes that. So if that's the case, then somebody could do it for 120 a day. Now they're 240, and 240, which is 720. They charge 2,500. That leaves them quite a bit. I don't want to try to do the math in my head that fast, but about 1,800 bucks for 3 days work. So now they're making a couple grand a week, which is over 100 grand a year doing discount waterproofing. Now, and then 4K is cheap. If somebody was charging 5K, they would actually be fairly profitable. And I don't think anyone's going to argue with a 5K price tag for 137 feet.
Well, I didn't pay myself anything.
Well, I get that. I mean, but were you digging and stuff?
No.
Okay, you were just managing, correct?
Right.
I'm not saying you shouldn't be paid. I'm just saying, okay, good. I'm glad you weren't. I wanted to just assess the labor piece of it, and you didn't
Yeah.
really add more than just some management to it. So, like, if you weren't there and they now know what to do, for the most part, they could still do it with less management next time, probably.
Well, yeah, they already had experience working for other guys doing waterproofing anyway. So I gave them the jackhammer, and they had it dug out to the bottom of the footer without me even saying anything. So it
Yeah.
was good. Worked out good.
There you go, man. That's perfect. So, yeah, seriously, you never have to worry about waterproofing again. So, well, that's awesome, man. I'm actually happy that you took that challenge. I know I was talking with Nikki and TJ. They had an 8K price for the waterproofing, and I was just like, "Hey, man, why don't we try something different? Just see if you can like do this way cheaper." And they took the challenge on, which is always hard, man. So I give you a high five for that because like it's not always easy to do something different than what you've been doing, right? But you did, and like, dude, the payoff is amazing, and I just really big deal. I mean, it's like just put $5,000 in your pocket, like literally five, maybe more. Obviously, I'm being very conservative with it. So, bottom line though is like, look at what you're paying and see what you're paying. I know Nancy and Jim, you guys did your budget, and I have your drawings done, Nancy and Jim too. I'm not near a scanner today. I will be tomorrow, so I'll send you over your drawings for your house over on Bakken. I actually have some pretty cool stuff you'll see, and I think you'll like the new drawings. But we're able to get it to be like a 3-2 above grade, which will be awesome. And so I'm pretty sure this drawing is going to work really nicely. Point is, though, too, they came up with like a 100K budget, Nancy and Jim. Pretty high budget, I think it was. I mean, it was really expensive. It's just like a 1,200, 1,300 square foot rancher. Generally, we know like 70K is kind of the max we can spend if we do almost everything. So we now got to figure out how to cut some cost. And Jim's willing to be there. I mean, he might not want to swing a hammer, but he's willing to manage some people and kind of keep an eye on them. So he kind of has that advantage also, that he could be there and manage, and he could, be creative about it. And we don't manage forever, but it's totally okay. Like TJ managed, but he'll manage a lot less next time. And he might even get to where he never has to really manage it. And it's kind of awesome. And his price might go up. So be prepared for that, TJ. It might go from, we need more than this, but whatever. You'll always be way within budget since you're so far under budget now. Like you could give them more money, give them 150 a day, and you'd be fine. As long as they keep, they know what the standard is. So,
Nah, they're not getting any more.
Well, you don't have to pay them more. I'm just saying, if it came down to it, though, and they're like, "We're out of here, man. F you," you'd be like, "All right, man. Here's $122 a day." That's what you.
Well, I buy them. I buy them a good lunch every day. So just make sure they're happy. That's all.
Well, there you go. That's all that matters. El Saltos, man. They don't want to work for El Saltos.
They go to El Salto every Friday. We go to El Salto.
Dude, I love El Salto. It's my favorite place. I used to get there all the time. So basically, my challenge for everyone is not just to meet my pricing, but to talk to yourself and see if there's a way to cut the pricing even deeper. Like I was saying, Ray, and before you jumped off and back on, I know like you're getting some pretty sharp pricing for your plumbing with your guy when he can do the work. And I don't know if he does electric, like light electric also, but
Yeah, he does pretty much all mechanical that doesn't need permits, and he's basically like he's making more than this, but he's like, in all honesty, he's like, if I make $1,400 a week, he's like, I'm thrilled because it's consistent work, and this is like he's doing tile. He's setting our kitchens for $300.
Yeah. So that stuff adds up, man. Like it adds up big time when you talk about like honestly, finding more of him or educating your guys, right? Because anytime your guys start saying we're not making money, then that's when it comes time for you to lead and educate them. You're like, hey, man, I want you to make money, but it doesn't mean I got to pay you more, right? So I'll let you, Ray.
Yeah, we can keep him to steady work, but he knows the burden's on him to, obviously produce. And the quicker he produces, that he can scale pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and he doesn't. He's kind of a one-man shop. So what we've actually toyed around with doing is my one guy has 2 helpers, and he always says, if I could get somebody to do help and do some of the other stuff, he's like, I could kind of maximize efficiency. So we're trying to figure out how to start getting the 2 crews to start kind of working together with each other a little bit more to streamline the steps. So that might take a little bit of time because they've never really worked with each other, but they're both on board with it, and they've both got like real good like attitudes to try
Hmm.
and work together. So we'll
Is
see.
is this your one crew, like the Spanish crew in him is what you're talking about, or no?
No, so he kind of really didn't want to do the drywall for that number. I think we mentioned this to you, and we sent the Marco Polo to you, and we had other guys come in and do it that were thrilled to do it for that number, and he said that he's like, this is like 2 or 3 grand in drywall, and I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, it's like 2 or 3 days worth of work, and we got it done. But I think for the time being, I'm going to try and get him back in for the paint and some of the other stuff. But I have guys that can do that, so he kind of blew up over the drywall a little bit, which I wasn't sure why, because he just sheetrocked the whole basement for us on the last job for
Yeah,
11 uh, for like $21 a sheet. It was like 55 boards.
yeah,
So we
that's
just
fair.
sheetrocked the whole basement for like $1,100, and you didn't want to
Yeah, and then you want 2-3 grand to do like 8 sheets or
touch
whatever,
ups.
and touch
Yeah.
ups. Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe he had some other stuff going on, but it's actually a different crew that we've been working with and been
Okay.
starting to train.
Okay, cool. And honestly, so what I would say about them is I've had many people kind of like run through rough patches and come back. So stay reaching out to
Yeah.
him in
No,
case
I
he kind
did.
of surfaces back. And because sometimes they either couple things that can happen, some negativity sets in, and they start having crazy inner conversations with themselves, and they make a mistake and they overreact to the mistake. Maybe him doing that basement for $21 a sheet, him not really being a sheetrock guy, maybe that was a bad choice, right? And maybe he didn't make any money on that. I've seen people when they do stuff because they're not good at it, instead of saying, what can I do to be more efficient and get this done faster? They always want to blame others, right? They don't want to be personally accountable of like, okay, I was kind of slow on that. That's why I lost money on it. They always want to be like, well, Ray didn't pay me enough, or, then it's easy for them to jump and ask other people and then to be like, oh my God, you $50 a sheet. What do you mean you got paid 21? He ripped you off. Everyone's going to tell them they're being ripped off, but that's just, so they'll find people. The right people or the winners will absolutely be like, okay, I need to speed this up or not do it. Right. And then let's get on to some other stuff. Can you get some sheetrock guys? And then, so that could have happened, or they could have had another opportunity to work for like a homeowner. You sometimes see that they get like homeowner jobs, and, they're paying high, and it's all a matter of timing. But like I think you even seen with your house flipper who kind of went and did the house flip and then came back. That homeowner stuff is short lived. Like you get to do a job. Homeowners are, first of all, super difficult to deal with most of the time. Rarely ever easy. When they're paying more money, they're very difficult to deal with, but then they're impossible to sustain,
Mhm.
especially if you're a Spanish crew, because you probably don't have licenses. You're Spanish, so you're already being looked down upon for people who, are races that don't want to, like, we used to have people, I had white people working for me, and we would come in when I did floorings. First thing every family would say is like, oh, I'm so glad you don't have Mexicans working with you. And I was like, okay, I guess I just entered a clan meeting. Right. But they just very racial against Mexicans and people, right? They just don't. And in general, I guess they just, first of all, I guess the communication's difficult, right? They're trying to tell them something and they just go do something else. I've seen that. My guys do that. I was like, do this. And they're like, what are they doing over there? So that's the part of like, breaking some eggs to make an omelet. It's okay. But when you got them in like a retail home, where they, take care of their stuff, and, maybe they're bumping into things like, so they're not always a really good fit. The perfect fit, I was the perfect fit, like a white guy wearing a polo with a haircut. Like, I come in and they're just like, oh yeah, you're the guy I want to hire. So, I mean, I definitely did have some white privilege when it came to contracting, because, like in general, that's with like retail higher end people want it. So they don't, like, they might get a job here and there, but it's very hard to sustainably stay busy with retail work for them. So they tend to come back to this kind of environment, and this ends up being a really strong environment for them. They don't have to go do estimates. They can be in their genius zone and their strong suit instead of getting in what will never be their strong suit. And that's out there trying to smooth and have like clear communications and build rapport with people. That's difficult to do when English is your second language. It's very difficult to do when English is your first language for most people, but even more when it's not it's just hard. Not everybody's a high level communicator. So, good stuff, man. It sounds like you guys are getting some stuff done cheaper. I guess the question, Ray, is there anything that you think you might be able to cut cost on? I'm sure there is. And the question really should be, I guess, then what is something you could selectively choose to create a new reality for. And then TJ, same question for you, and Nancy and Jim. I guess I could probably ask you this question once you're actually into your rehab, because obviously right now it's probably going to be most of your stuff you'll be doing.
Well, TJ had and I kind of wanted to like make it known, like, he's like, YouTube is your friend. I don't, it's crazy. Like, even if you want, like you said, I was listening to a lot of stuff you said when I was on earlier, and you're like, hang the yellow tape measure, like let them know that they're just not going to talk circles around you, and that they might speak and tell you something that you didn't see on a video, but you can Google whatever you're trying to meet a contractor for if you've never seen it or done it before, and you can become an expert enough to know like 10 or 12 catch terms, so at least you're kind of, they know that you're present in the room with them. They don't kind of think they're going to be able to pull anything over on you. And you can use YouTube to teach people, first of all, to teach yourself so you know what you're looking at, and then you know what's a fair number too.
Yeah.
That's huge. Like, I'd be curious to see, like, I guess the TJ, I didn't hear the beginning, did he use YouTube
Yeah, he used
for the
YouTube.
videos to how to do the I-beams?
Yeah, yep.
Show
I
those
sent
guys?
them the one. I sent them the one I used because that's how
Okay.
I did it too. I found them on YouTube. This guy showed how to do the I beams, and yeah, that's how I did my house. Also, was I just
Okay.
watched it. It was pretty simple. I mean, in theory, it's pretty simple. It's a little, when you're doing it, it's a little like, okay, this is a little much, but it's not complicated by any means, right? I mean, it's not. It's something he probably did very well his first time.
Yeah.
Just following some clear instructions. It's not
Yeah,
much more.
it's super easy. So each one,
Yeah.
after I did the first one, it took me like 15 minutes a piece.
Yeah,
What?
there you go. Yeah, it's insane, dude. The hard work is the digging, but when you've already dug out for the trench for for the waterproofing, then it's no work, because all you got to do is take a 4x4 and brace it to the top, and then on the bottom you take a jack against the concrete and jack it over. And when it's got pressure on it and it's kind of jacked over and it's like you're applying pressure, you just set some rebar pieces. You'll take a measure, cut some rebar pieces to hold the beam where it is, like 3 or 4 of them, and then you let the jack off and the rebar holds it where it is. And then when you fill all the concrete in for the waterproofing, it holds the beam in place
That holds the
permanently
bottom of it.
with rebar. Exactly. It holds the bottom. Top's held
Yeah.
by the thing. I mean, it's insane, because when you're bending it, see, most people, what my guy was doing, when I ended up doing this myself, my guy flaked out and I ended up with a jackhammer. He was going to do it, but he was just not even going to put it in the concrete. He just was going to put it against the wall to stop the wall from coming in farther. So what the guy on the thing said is, like, it actually makes more sense to bend the bottom and put pressure on the wall and straighten the wall out. And I was like, that makes tons of sense, because my wall is in bad shape. So the fact that, like, and TJ's wall is in pretty bad shape too, but now is already, like he said, it's already moved an inch, and, probably before this rehab's done, it'll be pretty straight. It certainly won't be any issues there. So it's actually fixing a problem on top of, like, versus just stopping it from happening. It's fixing it. So it's very do-it-yourself friendly with that video, and it's surprisingly, he actually did it cheaper than me. He went to a place in Curtis Bay and got the I-beams for $50 each. I went to Johnson Lumber, and TJ, this is a great lesson. Remember, I was telling you not to go to Johnson Lumber anymore. I went to Johnson Lumber, got my I-beams. They were 120 each, but it was like, I was on a time schedule, and I was like, okay, that's cheap, because my guy gave me a price for $7K to do the I-beams. So when I found that I could, buy them for $1,100, and TJ got them for like $500 or $600, half the price. I was like, okay, cool. And I'll just get a couple guys and we'll do it in like 2 days. And it took like a day or two to do it. Honestly, I think probably really only took like a day, honestly. I did like 2 beams with them, and then I rolled out and left them. And I'm pretty sure they were done that day, because I ended up doing about 10 also across one wall that was pretty jacked up. So yeah, the reality is, man, if you can actually shop around and find like a steel place like he did, I actually went to a place that always is, they're known for being expensive.
They probably buy it from the place I bought it from.
Yep, and then just
resold it to
charge you. Yep, exactly. I'm sure that's what they did. So thanks for making me feel like an asshole, TJ, because I got double charged. I hate getting double charged. And as soon as he said that, I was like, I kind of assumed I paid too much, but I was like in the middle of like, dude leaving his jackhammer and in my personal house, and it was getting a little messy, honestly. And I was like, that's how we get sometimes. But now, if I ever do it again, which I'm sure I will, I know where I'm going, and I'll get that material a lot cheaper. And so I see, when we see major foundation issues now, Ray, Nancy, Jim, Gerhard, like, I look at foundation issues as a major opportunity. Because if you know that none of your competitors, you know, the reason you got that deal and I got that deal, TJ, is because they seen that foundation issue and no one wanted it. Everyone was like, oh, that's 20K. That's 15K minimum. And now they're running their numbers and, you know, all of a sudden their rehab's getting crazy high, right? Because they're probably saying, oh, God, and the waterproofing's 8K, you know, and it's 15K. So they're like 23K just for the waterproofing. And there was a teeny bit of mold in the house. So, you know, they were like, oh, that's 5K. You can't just wipe it off. You know, you need to have like a hazmat suit come in, you know, that's 6K. So now they're like 30K on like 3 items. And all of a sudden, what you'll spend 60, 65 on, they're going to be like 85 on, which allows us to win the deal. So this is the point I'm making. I love when I see foundation issues because it's a huge tactical advantage for me. And that's what we want. We want every tactical advantage we can get. And I really want you to, when you see waterproofing and foundation stuff, in my experience, it's when people are willing to discount their properties the most. When it has a foundation problem, a waterproofing problem, and mold, you put all 3 of those together, and I walk in the door and I'm like, bam, I'm going to win this effort, right? This deal's mine because I know I can go in and do the mold, the waterproofing, and the foundation so much cheaper than everyone else that I'm going to have a huge tactical advantage on my offer, knowing that I can just get it done cheaper, like big time. I might be able to offer 20K more than most people.
Yeah, I bought a couple gallons of Simple Green and a large bag of rags, and they cleaned all the walls in one day.
Yep.
With the mold off. Yep.
And there's a more professional way to do it in the future if you want, but if that works, go for it. You know, there is an actual way where you do all the right chemicals and everything, and it's about the same amount of work. You're just using the right products. They have something called mold control you always want to use on it. And they do sell that at Home Depot, actually. I don't know where it is, but if you can get it, it's like 30, 40 bucks a gallon, but it's like concentrate. It goes really far and it actually controls the mold, and it's a antimicrobial, so it kills it. And you just got to kill the water source more than anything. You know, obviously once you kill the mold can only live in moist environments. So as soon as the house gets dried out, most mold dies anyhow.
I have another question. This is off topic, but do you have a link to the funnel video that I can get from you next time or later?
So you have access to the training, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you go in, there's 2 things. There's a house flipping academy and there's cracking the contractor code. If you go into cracking the contractor code, which you should have access to, or Nikki, you can use her access if you somehow don't have it. Just go in with her login. I think it's module 2 or 3, and it's setting up a contractor funnel, and Delonte actually walks you through it, and you can just do it right alongside with the video playing. Literally just open a different window on the computer. It's pretty easy. I mean, he does it in 15 minutes, you know, us being techno-tards. Us, you know, being 40, you know, not growing up with computers, probably takes 45 minutes to an hour max.
She said, is it Google Doc? Is that what does it show how to do?
It shows you how to do the Google Doc. It shows you how to do the Craigslist ad. It actually has templates for the Google Doc that you just copy and paste and drop in. So that way, you know, for all the questions that you asked, and you just make small changes according to who you're, you know, if you're trying to interview. And the Google Doc, not a Google Doc, I'm sorry. It's a Google form is what it's called. So the form, the application they fill out is a Google form, which actually then goes into where you can just look at it. So it's a Google form. And then also, I guess it would probably be a Google Doc where the copy for the ad, right? And it's just there. You copy and paste it in. You can put it in Word, do whatever you want, edit it. It gives you the foundation for the copy, and then you're just going to kind of adjust it accordingly. And we actually go through and show how to do that. And then that's like a 45-minute video, and there's about an hour and a half video, and that's actually with you, me, and Nikki, and everyone's on there. You guys were actually on that call. We were going through that painter funnel, and that's the weeding piece of it. I would suggest watching that again before you do it, just so you'll be fresh in your head, because that's actually probably the hardest part is the weeding. That's the part that takes a little practice, takes a little bit of like getting into. But it's the part that also seems easy. It seems like, oh, no problem. But done incorrectly, you'll be meeting too many people, and you will lose your advantage based on like them just wearing you down eventually, right? You can get wore down very easily meeting goofy contractors. Like you said, talking circles around you, right? Ray said that actually, talking circles. There'll be a lot of people trying to talk circles around you, and eventually your willpower will wear down. It's like saying no to cake 15 times a day. You're probably gonna give in by the 16th. So you know you don't want to be in a situation. It'd be like somebody rubbing chocolate chip cookies on my lips all day, and eventually I'm gonna eat one, right? I mean that's kind of how I think it is when people tell you when they tell you something that you're already fairly insecure about because you're just making this huge change in beliefs. It's so easy to go back to the old beliefs, right? It's
Sounds
so
like you have
easy.
a sounds like you have a fetish more than like chocolate.
Dude, I have a serious sweet tooth. I mean, I'm a sugar addict, like a cocaine addict. Is because I haven't been eating sugar for a couple weeks and I'm losing weight and I'm feeling good, and I can control myself. But I'm telling you, once I eat cookies and ice cream, anything sugary, Captain Crunch, it don't even matter, man. It's like I'm like a junkie. And I realize that, like, I've started reading some stuff about her, like it's like cocaine, dude. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm on sugar cocaine. I'm on legal cocaine. No
Yeah.
wonder I'm struggling with it. I'm like, I need to go get on some kind of like medicine or something, right? I need therapy, something. I don't even know because like I really do love sugar, and you know I always think like so how it starts is I'm like you know if I eat a cookie I can be very disciplined eating one cookie, but then it turns into two cookies, and you know it's like you know the Guns N' Roses song Mr. Brownstone. You know,
Yeah.
used to do a little, but a little got more and more. And it was like, that's me, man. That's like, I used to do a cookie. Then next thing you know, I was doing two more. And I was in a dumpster with a bunch of cookie crumbs on my shirt. I don't know how I got there. So man, I'm really big. It kind of leads into something that's for our higher level group to consider and think about too, is honestly being in better shape, taking care of ourselves, like gives us the energy to kind of follow through with a lot of these things that are important to our business. You know, getting on the phone, grinding it out with contractors, you know, being able to handle that back and forth. That's so much easier done if like our chemistry and our energy is much higher, right? If our energy is higher, it's so much easier to like be able to do that and not kind of lean away from it. Like I know that when I'm eating poorly, I'm less disciplined. And when you know one discipline lack of discipline leads to another lack of discipline, right? And so for me, I want to get the food thing right and working out right so I can get a little more energy. And I have been. I've been doing pretty good for like 2 weeks now, recovering from the cruise. Cruise is always the downfall.
Um, I have a question if nobody else is going to say anything.
Yeah.
I'll, like where we're at right now, I have a house almost halfway through, and we just got another house that we close
Mhm.
on in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And if something comes across, like a good deal comes across us right now, what would you refuse it because we're still in the beginning stages of
I wouldn't
doing?
buy it, but I would consider putting it under contract and selling it to someone for an assignment fee.
Okay.
I mean, mostly because I mean, financially, you got to have long money to be able to buy three of them, right? It's going to require a lot of cash trying to bankroll all of them. It's going to get stressful. And what's going to happen is whatever you would think is a good deal would not be a good deal if it ended up sitting too long. So, you know what I mean? It would actually take the thing that was a good deal and turn it not into being a good deal. Because I've
Mhm.
bought many, like every bad deal I've ever done started off as a good deal and then got ignored essentially, or you know just got misplaced or not well thought about or well planned out because of us being too busy, and it turned into a bad deal. So bad deals, I don't think I've ever truly bought a bad deal. I've turned some things into bad deals due to a lack of time to focus on them. So you know I know Ray had a few and they didn't turn into bad deals, but he had a couple went longer than he liked, and you know but his deals are pretty easy and he strategically did that. Now, there's times where I took a long time, and that was one thing me and him were talking about. If you strategically decide to do it, that's one thing because you'll buy the deal saying, okay, I got to let this sit for 3 months, dude. And now that I take 3 months of payments and I take that off the deal, can I still buy it? The answer is going to be no most of the time because your competitive edge that you're gaining through all this other cool stuff, well, you lose it whenever you have to let your house sit for a really long period of time. So, and the thing is there's always new deals. Like, so one thing you want to do is be very abundant. The same way you've always found a deal to date, you will still find the deals later. It's not like they disappear. In my experience, the more you're in the game and the better you get at this pricing piece and cutting cost, you're actually going to be finding deals even more easy than you were in the past. So there'll come a time where you have too many deals quite often. And I think you're there now, actually, if you got an extra deal just kind of sitting, you know, because you got quite a bit of work still to do in the Brooklyn Park. And and I know you were gonna. I don't know if you guys were gonna follow through and just try doing like a quick cleanup on the other house and seeing if you could sell it. Yeah, it might be a good strategy on it. You know, just
That's
take a
what we're
couple
that's
days.
what we're doing. We're gonna list it as is. Basically, we're gonna clean it up, make it look presentable, stage it, and then fix anything we need to fix and list it and see how it goes.
Yeah, I think that's worth trying. If it, and then by the time you figure out whether that's going to work or not, you'll be pretty close to done on your other house. And I think then would be, if you have the finances and everything feels good, you're not going to get too thin on money, then that would be a good time to maybe just start demo or something, or just, get some stuff going, maybe some demo framing if there's anything you might need to do if it doesn't sell. And if it does sell, then, if somehow you can sell it pretty quickly, then now you technically don't have another deal. So you could buy a deal at that point, but you still need to kind of cash some of them out, right? You can't have but so much money out there. So every day I have to turn deals down. It's insane. I just sold one to Nancy and Jim in Pasadena in a $400,000 neighborhood, which I live for those kind of properties, but I just looked at my board and I have more deals than I need right now. And it just would have been another deal that I totally didn't need. And I think I could have turned it into a bad deal by not having time to mess with it. I have other deals that have been sitting for like 2 months and I haven't started them because I selectively have been inventorying them, but they're on the long end of the inventory. So I decided to sell it to them. They're paying me $20K assignment fee. I'm giving $10K of that back to the seller. So I'm making $10K on it, and I'm more than happy to make $10K. I probably would have made 40 or 50 if I rehabbed it. But at the end of the day, I have other stuff that I'll make money on that, that I own. The only house of the bunch I didn't own was this one on Bakken. That's the reason I had to wholesale that one versus something else, because it was the only one I didn't have an ownership. So I was the only one I could wholesale. And it was a weird timing, right? I talked to her back in September. She said no. And then she called me back, in December and said yes. I was like, damn, I kind of didn't need deal, but I'm like, I'm not passing on it. So yeah, I wouldn't spend your time looking for a deal, but if someone calls you with like a kind of like they did on this one, you definitely should be looking at anything that comes to you. I wouldn't go actively seek for deals, but if, you get a inside track, like one of Nikki's old clients, or or someone like old lady you took dancing or cut her grass and she thinks you're sexy, something like that happens, like you definitely want to go see those. I don't just say no to those. I mean, I just like this house, when it came in, I knew if I couldn't swing it, that I knew like someone would want it in the group, right? Obviously Pasadena, and if nobody wanted it in the group, I could have thrown it on the MLS and sold it and made money easily. Probably could have settled it, honestly, but I didn't. I kind of considered it, but I could have probably easily just settled it, cleaned it up, and resold it for more money, just like you're doing, because it's I had it for 210, 220 really. I had two for 220. So I mean, the neighborhood's 400K, and it was a functional house. Like, lady lived in it. It was outdated, but she was living there and everything worked.
Gotcha.
So,
okay,
anyhow,
that makes sense.
Yeah, man, stay focused on cleaning up your house, getting, you only have so much time in the day. So be quick to say no to anything that gets in the way of your one thing right now. And your one thing right now is driving rehab calls down and getting more people to do work for you. So that way things go faster, cheaper, better. And you don't have to do as many flips then. So you don't have to think like, I've got to do 10 flips a year. You really only, you'd be better off doing 6 or 7, but crushing them. Right? Really doing them and making a lot of money on 6 or 7. And then once you're nailing 6 to 7, then you start going to like 10 and 12. I think often we think that, and I thought this for many years, we focus on volume as the predictor of income versus quality and efficiency. And there's nothing farther from the truth. Quality and efficiency will always be the predictor of income, not volume. I mean, I can give you examples of years where I flipped 150 houses. Of over 100 of those were renovations. The rest were wholesale deals. And me and my partner brought in $1 million. Like, that's not a lot of money for 150 houses. That's kind of insane, actually. Net income. Now, I've got a student who did 24 houses and brought in $1.05 million. So like what took me 150 to do, he did in 24. So he was focusing on quality. He was an accountant, so he's actually pretty smart with money. I was focusing on volume. Like, every little thing I was focusing on was do more houses, but I never attached like a certain profitability that needed to be with those houses, and that was the tricky part. So and it's very difficult if you're focusing on volume. You can't really focus on both. Like, we all think, well, I'll do more and I'll make them more profitable. No, the reality is focus on more profitable, and then you'll get to do more, because you'll have the funds to do more. You'll have the ability to buy more deals, because when you're able to make your deals more profitable, then you're able to win more good opportunities, because you can look at a deal that, say, Joe Schmo passes on, and then you look at it and see a deal there. That's commonly, like, every time I get a deal, people tell me I'm crazy. Like I had something on Facebook on one of my ads, and a guy's like, "You'll never sell that for that," and I'm thinking like, "Yeah, really?" And you know, it's like, "I seen that deal. We passed on it. Like that was a piece of shit," he said on Facebook, and I'm like, "Yeah." That's why you're a realtor and I'm a professional house flipper who's been doing it 11 years with a success record. You're freaking out there in your car driving people around showing them properties because you don't actually know what you're doing. Just because, you know, you're 26 years old and you won an award because you did like 10 realtor flips, or so you did 10 realtor listings or something. So they gave you like an office award. So now he's like, I'm top realtor of like Ashbury Street. I like the number one realtor on Ashbury, like not even in A County or the world, no, just on a street. And I'm like, come on, dude. And I try to nicely explain to him, but the reality is like, this is what people think. This is how we make money though, right? I mean, I'm not, as much as I might get frustrated with them, I don't want them to stay that way, right? I only want the people in our mastermind, in our community to be better, which is a very small group of people. You see, this isn't like, you know, there's not 1,000 people in these groups. And I keep it that way strategically. I cut it off when we get enough people. And because I don't want the world to know. And you know, and I know that a lot of the world will hear it, but won't pay attention to it because no one does. People only listen to something that's been confirmed by other people. Michael Chow's actually dealing with a $1.6 million property selling in Toronto, and he has a business partner who's hired the top realtor. And every piece of advice this top realtor has given him, and he knows it because he follows the system, all bad, right? She literally is just giving him the worst advice ever, just complete backward stuff. And his partner's like, well, I don't want to listen to you, Mike, because I want to listen to her because she's a top realtor. She was a top agent. I'm like, I don't even know what that means, by the way. But so this is his struggle, is he's trying to convince his partner not to make these mistakes that are going to cost him and his partner money. Now he did this deal a long time ago and is now just liquidating it. It's like, you know, a really expensive rental. That's the kind of rentals they deal with in Toronto, 1.6 million. So, you know, essentially my point I'm making is these guys are top realtors, but it don't mean they understand what we're doing. And the reason that no one will ever pay attention to what we do is because it's much easier to believe we're wrong. Does that make sense? It's so much easier to say, oh, Mike's crazy. You know, you can't do it that cheap. Oh, Mike's crazy. You know, appraisals won't let that happen. Oh, Mike's crazy. My market doesn't work that way. My market's different, right? We all like, it's so easy just to go and take that approach versus saying, oh, cool, that's interesting. I wonder if I could actually do that. I wonder if I could actually get a foundation done for $2,400 and waterproofing, you know, done all for like 4K. Like, yeah. I mean, if you told that story to someone, they would be like, TJ's so full of shit. But I think we know you're not, obviously, but you know, and the right people know you're not, and the wrong people, who cares what they think? We want them to stay stupid and kind of naive, and like we want people to have struggles.
Yeah,
Not wishing it on them, but you know, it's just going to be the way it is.
yeah. I think I'll do my own waterproofing for the foreseeable future. It seems like the one that always be the biggest sham. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah, and listen, the same thing you applied to that was, which is some resourcefulness. I promise you can be done with HVAC, can be done with a lot of things. You can buy HVAC materials yourself, and that's instantly going to cut your cost. Like if you buy your own unit, then you can find someone for $1,000, $1,200 max to install the unit for you. It literally takes two guys a half a day to install a unit. So when you're saying I'll give you a G to do it, it's actually a very fair price. I mean, it's pretty awesome because one of those guys is the boss and he's making 800 and the other person's making 150, 200. So like, yeah, it's not a bad day's work to make $850. I'm not even so good myself that if someone said they would give me 850, I wouldn't come work for a half day. I would consider it. I'd have to learn to say no to it if somebody was making me those offers, right? Because I'd be like, shit. But I mean, I still would I'd be pretty excited about that. I wouldn't be a butthurt to make that money. So I don't know. I think that now it doesn't mean there won't be many people who just tell you you're crazy and that can't happen, because that's what we do here, right? We do what other people think's not reasonable, but it's super reasonable to certain people. General public, not so much. I actually watched a show on Netflix called Fat. It's a really interesting show you guys should watch, and it talks about how the government has brainwashed us for years, telling us that cholesterol and fats are bad for you. But like the reality is that and they were telling us like don't eat like fat, but you should eat starches and carbs and, and you should eat all these carbs and everything. And he actually found that through that advice, we've become the fattest nation in the world, through that like skewed piss poor advice that honestly, I think really just in the last 5 to 7 years, people are starting to break the code of that and say that's complete bullshit. And, low carb diets are actually extremely healthy and, and going to get you in better shape and all that. But even today, they're thought of like as, alternative or, not the normal way. Like you got to be like a rebel to be on a low carb diet. Doctors don't, I don't think long term they're good for you or they're healthy. And there's nothing but just complete proven science that says they are healthy for you long term. Like people live considerably longer intermittent fasting. They live considerably longer eating healthy fats. They less like overall, right? That's why other countries are thinner because they don't prescribe to our bullshit that we've been told that you're supposed to eat a bunch of like oatmeal every day and carbs and all that stuff. And that's why we're all heavy, man. We're all naturally heavy because it's difficult to understand what's really going on. And that same thing has happened in house flipping. Same thing's happened in most industries, right? I mean, bottom line is when you really step back and you're kind of like, you're kind of a whistleblower about the fact that like, now TJ could literally sit up there and whistleblow the fact that like waterproofers are like a sham. Like his exact words, like waterproofing is a sham. When they come in and tell you it's 10K, it's a freaking sham. And what most people don't know, when I got a bunch of waterproofing estimates, there's companies out there like B-Dry, a bunch of different waterproofing, Mid-Atlantic waterproofing. There's companies out there that make a living charging people 18 to 25K to waterproof a basement. And you think 8K is a sham. Dude, I feel like there needs to be a task force for the people that are charging 18 to 25K. That's a little insane, right? I mean, that like seriously, like there needs to be like, I've been watching Green Arrow. There needs to be like a vigilante that goes after these guys and be like, be dry, you failed this city. And then shoots them with an arrow for charging somebody 25K to do a basement. I literally feel like somebody should be like in prison for that. Now, and I get it, it's not illegal anything they're doing, but goddamn, man, it's like out of hand a little bit. So,
Miss Waterproofer is out of control, but it's homeowners that don't know how much stuff costs, and so they just get.
Yes, exactly. And honestly, when you think about it, it's a really big stretch. So when you say like homeowners that don't know what things cost, well, if people are out there charging 15 to 25K for waterproofing, and then a guy comes in and tells you 8, right? That sounds pretty cheap compared to what your general belief is. And it sounds, when I tell you it could be done for 3 or 4K, that seems insane because 8 already seems so far off. So if you realize like that's the reason it's difficult for us to change our beliefs around this pricing, because like we've been taught and we've been trained, right? And it all comes from the people who want to get paid 18 to 20K. If you go and look up how much should waterproofing cost, you realize that every waterproofing company has put 7,000 blogs out. Every waterproofing company is likely got tons of YouTube videos, right? So most of what you're going to run through is other people telling you what they want you to think it costs. So you got to kind of go through, like that guy was teaching the foundation. He was just a dude truly teaching. He wasn't trying to sell his services. He was just teaching and showing how to do it. Most of the things are companies trying to teach it and then telling you how, you got to have this proprietary process. And if you don't use like our special vapor barrier, then waterproofing systems fail. And that's why it's 25K, because we're giving you this special barrier. It's made out of baby seals. And, it's pretty expensive when you're making like, your waterproofing systems made of pearls. Like they're not using regular pipe. They're using pearl pipe. It's made from, the deep sea pearls. I mean, it's insane, right? It's insane the stuff they're charging. It's like, it should be all arrested. With that being said, that's why even me for a long time, I've had to like kind of just challenge my thinking around it. All right. And honestly, I think as a group, it's something we could help each other with, constantly challenging our thinking. I think it's time for me. I'm actually getting all my bookkeeping redone, and I'm going to do a deep dive into all my costs now to see if I can get them down, because I haven't paid attention to them for about a year to 18 months, meaning they've definitely went up, right? That's just how it works. Anything you don't want to pay attention to gets worse. So if you're not looking at the pricing and driving it down, constantly working on making it better, then it's getting worse. So I kind of feel like my landscaper seems to be buying some new vehicles and shit, and I think he's being overpaid. I noticed like he's getting paid too much. Good, right?
I just said ours too.
Oh, landscaper too, really? Yeah, I mean, seriously, I
I'm
don't.
like, it's
He's a
like
great guy.
2 yards of mulch, and he's not putting any plants in this time of year. And I'm like asking him, I'm like, what's driving these numbers? I'm like, your guys are done by like noon. They work like 3 hours for two dudes, and it's like 2 yards of mulch. And
Yeah,
you
and
still have a dumpster there, so he's throwing the stuff in the dumpster, which I don't care about. So we actually, the other guy that just started doing stuff with us, we just met him as a pressure washer, but
mhm,
it turns out he used to work for a pretty big exterior, like construction company, and
yeah,
he just wanted to go out and start his own thing. But he's like, "Hey, is it who does the landscaping for you?" He's like, "They're usually pretty simple, like pretty clean." And I told him, and I'm like, would you guys want to do them? I said, I'll just get the mulch dropped on the street for you. And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, I do the landscapes. He's like, I was like $200 now. And I'm like, I'll think about it. I'm like, I'll let you know. Well, like $200 and $50 in mulch, and we've been paying between 500 and 650.
yeah,
And in his mind, they're there doing other stuff, so he can work inside when it's not good weather. And
hmm
it's not huge, but he just added in his mind $200 to his. Well, like I think you
yeah,
said, he just said it, like you're almost helping him grow his own company.
yeah. He likes the opportunity where if you went and told your landscaper that you could only pay him 200 or 300 bucks, he'd be like, no way. So that's the thing.
Exactly.
It's an opportunity for one person and it's an insult for another.
Yeah.
Like TJ does landscaping professionally, and I'm sure he probably wouldn't be looking to come out and do anything for less certain amount of money, right? He's going to want to get paid.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there isn't a guy. Landscaping, when it comes down to the landscaping we're doing, simple landscaping
We
of
do both of them.
cutting grass, mulching, and putting a few plants in, dude,
Yeah.
you could teach like the cheapest, most brain dead person to do basic landscaping. And I mean, I used to get people for like $80 a day to do my landscaping, and they'd be there a day or two, like $160. And this would be more intense landscaping, not like even as easy as yours. But they would be a day like cutting the grass, do a bed, throw some mulch in. It's something that I know my guy now is charging too much because he came and did my personal house, and the number I kind of just got him to do it and didn't ask the price. And when I got it, I was a little shocked. But then I was more like, okay, well, if you charge me this for that, like, are we overpaying him? My guy's like, nah, man, he's fair, man. I'm thinking like, he can't be. He charged me like $1,500, and I was like, he didn't really do that much at my house. He was here with like 3, 4 dudes, like a nice solid crew, but he was here for a day. And anyway, you look at it, like 15, and I bought all the material, so he basically, I feel like I got charged a little much. So I'm putting him under investigation because I want to make sure my uncle's not, he gets overwhelmed and he has a lot going on, and it's easy just to go and say, hey man, take care of that. Because our landscaper is awesome. And when I say awesome, he's very reliable, willing to do whatever. I mean, he can actually do like asphalt. We figured out he can actually do asphalt driveways. He'll take trash loads for us. Like he'll just pack up his truck and a whole thing and then take a trash load for like $300, but it's like his truck and a whole freaking trailer. So it's like 3 loads. So I know that's pretty reasonable. And he really helps us out on that because he takes so much. And he's just pretty good in general, but obviously he's making money somewhere. And so it isn't really, I'm not pinpointing him. I'm just saying overall, is there other places we've gotten a little lazy at, right? If there is, we need to cut it back just a little bit within reason. Uncle's not going to love that, but you know what? It's not like it isn't my duty to be non-confrontational. I got to make sure we're not going, when I see some of the stuff I want to see, it might suggest we need to fix some stuff. And I'm sure it will. It always does. It virtually never a time it doesn't. Right. I mean, that is pretty much a universal law. Anytime you haven't looked at something for a while, there's a really good chance, like a high likelihood that there's room for improvement. We like to think things just get better on their own, but they don't. They require attention. I think somebody told me, one of my coaches before told me, whatever we focus on, it expands. And then I guess whatever we don't focus on, I guess inflates or whatever, right? It probably shrinks up. But it's true. If you focus on something, it expands, it gets better. If you focus on how bad your life is, then it gets worse. You focus on how awesome life is, then, well, life gets better. So I don't know, man. It's cool stuff. You guys have any questions or anything before we get going? We have time for like another question. We got another call coming up too. I'm going to be doing some MLS stuff. If you guys want to hang out for that, you're more than welcome. I've got some deals I'm going to be looking at on the MLS and breaking down.
Mike, I got a quick question. What are your thoughts on I'm noticing a lot of stuff up here. It's actually occupied stuff that the banks are selling.
Mhm.
Because people obviously can't. Have you ever bought stuff occupied? Because I
Yep.
don't, I'm not saying that I want to, but I'm seeing how much stuff and the numbers that it's actually selling for, and I'm thinking, man, like, unless they poured concrete down the drains, I could, like, I could, I could rebuild the entire inside of the house. When I look at the comps and I look where it actually sells, and I'm
Mhm.
like, even if I had to gut down to the studs,
Yeah.
like again, I'm trying to picture a worst case scenario, and I'm like, that could still be profitable, but I'm leery of the fact of if you buy it occupied, then what's the process from there? Like,
It's different in every state, but in the worst states, it can be 3 to 6 months and a couple $1,000s in legal fees. So often, what I see in return for that is a couple $1,000s, maybe a couple months of sitting. But I often what I'll see in return for that is like a huge discount that's disproportionate. So I have no problem buying one. When I used to buy courthouse steps, that was actually a big part of how I won. Is where a lot of my competitors wouldn't buy them, I would. But you got to get a good lawyer. You can't just get a rando lawyer. You want to find a lawyer who knows how to get people out of houses, and
Yeah,
they're not expensive.
we have the lawyer that did the leases for our rentals.
Hmm.
Um, I would actually go to him. That he actually does so many like evictions and everything.
Hmm.
He actually literally has his own courtroom down in the local courthouse.
Oh
So
wow.
I would
So
just use him. So I think we have a good ally, but I'm trying to figure out from a pricing matrix. I can see the outside, but do you
yeah.
assume that you need to do everything inside and run the numbers like
Well, a big part of our advantage when we buy things like with people in it is we try to assess whether they're home and we go peek in windows, right? And then we just act like, I mean, I've even knocked on the door and asked if somebody random's home and just like, oh, I got the wrong address. I'm sorry. And then I'm like, I
that?
mean, our guy used to like look in there. He'd have a camera on, like, hidden camera, kind of like he'd have his phone on where he could see. He would look in windows on the video. Every 10 times he did it, someone would be like, what the fuck are you doing? But because he did it weekly, so he ran into a little bit of resistance. But the bottom line is you can assess from the outside. Like, so what I would do is I would always think worst case scenario, but not like crazy worst, within reason, right? I'm not going to be like, okay, I got to gut a house that's 10 years old, but I definitely probably need to do the cabinets and paint, carpet, and all that. I'm assuming all that stuff's not been taken care of. But a big indicator of like the condition of the inside is often the condition of the outside. And when I say that, it's not like, okay, if it's a 20-year-old house, the outside is not going to be like falling apart. But have they done anything to maintain? Is there grass high? Is there just shit everywhere? If it's complete dump outside, it's generally complete dump inside. We bought many foreclosures where people, they're not going to rip it apart. If the outside, if they have a pride of ownership, they'll tend to have a pride of ownership on the inside too. So my experience, I've been, if a house is newer, I would say that more often I'm happy with what I see than when it's older. And if it's a
That's why I'm asking.
1930s, it's much, much worse.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm asking because one of the ones that we're looking at right now, the one I told you that we bid on Hubzu that we comped,
Mhm.
and we said we could pay up to like 225 for it. We were bidding on that one again tomorrow. The auction's up, and I reran the numbers. But I started noticing a lot of stuff on there is
Is that particular deal occupied or no?
that one's not. No, we
Oh,
already
good.
that
Okay.
one's tied. No, that
So
one's
maybe
not.
what you can do before you kind of jump into it is call that attorney. It's a different eviction because you don't, you got to get them out, and they're technically the owners, and you can't really get them out until, and well, maybe they're not the owners, but they might
I
still
don't
be.
know. I'll have to talk to
Yeah,
him.
there's no lease, so there's a way to get them out. It's called I don't know how to write for quiet title. Crap, I forgot the name of it. We used to do them all the time, but unlawful detainer is what it's called.
Okay.
So unlawful detainer meaning they're unlawfully detaining the house, so they got to go, and it's a little more complex than just doing a rental, taking a lease, and going to rent court. But we would pay like $1,000 on a guy. We get them out like in the slow counties, a couple months, in the fast counties, a month or two. So it
Okay.
very can be very quick with the right person. My experience was though, when I got the wrong person to do it, it was like, you get people that aren't really good at following through and not like real efficient. And like next thing you know, it took 6 months, and then I hired this new guy and he's doing the same thing in 2 to 3 months. So,
Okay.
and this was in the worst county, by the way. PG is real close to DC, and it's horrendous county for evictions. And that
Okay.
was worst case scenario. Now, here's the good news is whenever you buy it, the first thing you'll do, and this works quite often, is you're going to go knock on the door and let them know you bought the house, right? And when you do, just say, I bought the house, and look, we're filing for eviction now. It's going to probably take about 30, 60 days for you guys to get a sheriff comes and get you out. With that being said, our general practice is I'd love to work this out with you and potentially give you some cash for keys and assist you with moving and do this more amicably. If not, totally get it, right? Most time people, if they answer the door and talk to you face to face, I would say 9 out of 10 times they'll have a conversation with you. We had one dude who was like, no. And then we went back 2 more times and he was like, no. And then he was like, the 4th time, he's like, F you, you're going to have to throw me out. And that was the 7-day flip, by the way. If you watch the 7-day flip video, that guy, we threw in, the sheriff come in and threw him out. And of course, what do you think he was saying? Well, we didn't know this was happening. Someone should have told us. This is so unfair. I can't believe you're just kicking us out without telling us. And my guy, we put like 5 letters on the door. We talked to him personally 4 times, and he told us to fuck off, essentially, is what he said. His exact words. Like, you will have to take me out. And we were like, okay, like, that's definitely going to happen. I mean, and we even went and this is what we do. We even go a couple weeks before the eviction, because in general, it makes more sense if we can take and get them out, like, so they don't burn the house down or do something stupid. I mean, I think it's good mojo in general, right? So I can tell you that of like the 25 houses I bought with tenants in it, cash for keys, I only had to do 2 or 3 evictions, I think, total.
Okay. What do you normally offer? Like $1,000 and like
$1,000 to $2,000, just something to
that
give
you
them.
off from a moving truck and stuff?
I mean, if that's part of $1,000 or $2,000, but I tend to do that after I give them a check when they leave. So, I give them a check when they leave, and I might be willing to pay for a truck if it's coming there to move their shit. I wouldn't give them the money for the truck and then hope they go use it. And because, they might not, they might just be like, F you, I'm keeping the money. I would be willing to pay for the truck and have it come and then help them move their stuff out, because that would be in good faith. And it's not a big risk, by the way. It's not like a huge risk, or pod or something you can do. Like, they can put all their stuff in a pod and then the pod can be moved. I mean, I'm pretty okay with doing whatever. Honestly, I don't get too like assholey about it, because at the end of the day, I've generally gotten a really big discount for buying it occupied, and I want to control my outcome. Right. I don't want to take any risk that the court's going to be weird. I don't want to take any risks that, they're going to destroy the house. I don't want to take any risk that, they're going to be on Facebook talking shit about me, saying that, I kicked them out of the house and I'm a predator, because they do like to say that when they get kicked out. I mean, so I try to do cash for keys with most people, and you'd be surprised. I can tell you, like I said, I did 25. I only had to evict 2 or 3 max. And I think the 3rd person I had to do an eviction on, but once I did the eviction, she actually did the cash for keys. And the other 2 were I had 2 people actually of 25 that were just like holdouts that were like, you got to just take me out of here. And one really was having discussions with me. The one was insane. The 7-day flip guy was like, you won't take me alive, essentially. He was just insane. And he was like, I'm getting the house back. I'm like, the house is settled and I own it. I was like, there's no, he's like, I'm getting the house back. I have $200,000 in an IRA, and I'm getting that money and getting the house back. The problem was he owed the IRS $200,000. So if he took the money out of the IRA, the IRS was going to take the money. So he was in a weird spot. He did actually have $200K in an IRA. The IRS can't take that money if it's in the IRA, but if he takes it out the IRA to pay for the mortgage thing that he needed, the IRS would take it. So it had to stay in the IRA in order for the IRS not to take it, essentially. So he couldn't pay the house off. But he was like, I'm gonna get it back. And I'm like, dude, I've owned the home for a month. Like, I own it, like, legitimately. You had like a couple months when we were arguing about that, but that's all over. I own it now. Like, you couldn't get it back under any circumstance. Like, there's no circumstance at this point. And I explained that to him, and he was just hard-headed about it. And the second guy that we had to evict was like, I want $8,000. And I was like, nah, man, I'm not giving you $8,000. Now, he did call me the week before the eviction and said, I'll take $4,000. And I told him, no way, I'm not doing $4,000. And because I was like, they're coming in a week, dude. They're going to throw your stuff out. So I had 21 guys there, and we had his house empty in like 3 hours. It was the most amount of stuff. It was a mountain of stuff. It took 21 guys 3 hours.
What kind of deal are you talking about? I'm not
I'm
sure.
talking about a cash for keys, essentially. So if you buy a house and it's occupied, I'll go and negotiate. Like, so I've done about 25 of them, and I've only had to actually evict about 2 people because I have a process of where I'll put a letter on the door introducing myself. I'll then come talk to them and say, hey, I really want to work this out. Basically, I sell them the dream, right? The first step in your process of getting someone to take your cash for keys is fully convincing them they're leaving either way.
No, what I'm saying is this an auction you're buying it from, or is
Oh,
it?
so I was buying a lot on courthouse steps. He's talking about Hubzu. Sometimes you'll see on MLS, like banks will list the properties occupied. You often will get a very good deal if that's the case.
It's called what? Hub Zoo?
Hubzu is like an auction site. Don't waste your time with it here. It's kind of a waste of time, honestly.
All right, I'll go ahead and scratch that out.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's good where Ray is, actually. It's working pretty well for him there, but I can't tell you of a deal. I've done like one deal in my life on Hubzu. And I don't know of any students or any other flippers. I mean, I know some flippers that are failing who's like, yeah, I got 3 deals. And then when I checked in with them 9 months later, like, yeah, it didn't work out. So, I mean, they were all pumped when they bought them, but I think they just weren't looking at the ARVs very well, or they were underestimating something because it didn't work out the way they thought. It's generally a bad environment. The reason it's such a bad environment, if you think about the main thing that we have, the advantage we have is when we're looking on the MLS is knowing what the price of the house is and using that price that it's at to determine and qualify whether it's worth our time or not. So if we see a house is listed for 100K and we determine, okay, that's worth our time because we could pay 100K or maybe even 110K, that's a good use of our time. The strategic issue with Hubzu is they put a price out and they might say 70K and you're like, I'd pay 110. But the bottom line is that's a starting open bid for the auction. You have no clue. You might pay 150K and not get it. So it's pretty big waste of time when you have to go see a house, you got to bid on it, you got to do all these things, right? And then just for them to say, okay, you didn't meet the minimum reserve. And now you wasted all this time. So you don't really have a way of identifying good opportunities because you just got to go in and do a ton of work. So I'm not saying you couldn't get deals. I'm saying the amount of work necessary to get a deal in Hubzu is far greater than doing like HUD.com or, going to HUDhomestore.com or going to, doing just a regular MLS. Yeah. Now, for me personally, so that's what I've seen. Just scan the item. So we're going to jump in. I have the MLS now, so I'm all pumped up. I couldn't get my MLS earlier. I got a deal that we looked at over the weekend that I'm going to pull up and take a look at so we can get real detailed on it. So we kind of ran numbers earlier on our 12 o'clock call that we would be, about 65, 70K in work. And I think we'll call it 70 because we're going to do a little addition upstairs, like a small dormer, very, very affordable, something only be a couple grand. And then what we really wanted to check on was the ARV. So let me jump in my MLS, share my screen. And what we're going to do now is I really want to try to dial in the numbers. I'm very confident on the 70K. I'm very confident that the deal makes a lot of sense. What we need to get more confident on now is exactly what it will sell for. This is also another house I'm looking at. Someone just sent me a few minutes ago. I'm going to go see this in the morning, determining whether this is a good deal or not. It's like 120. It looks like it needs about 80K in work, and we're thinking about 280 ARV. The question mark that I can't figure out is, does it have a finishable basement? If it can't be finished, which it really isn't giving us any clues, if it can't be finished, then the house is not worth 280. So I got to just go see it tomorrow and find out. Also, just making sure the layout's not weird, but it actually is a very nice looking house, a nice street. It looks like a normal rehab from the inside, kind of like every house we buy. So if I get this under contract, I will, offer it to the group. My brother brought it to me, so he'll want to wholesale it. But I told him, he asked me would I wholesale it to one of you guys, and I'm like, sure, like no problem. I'm sure somebody in the group would love to have it. So I'm going to see it tomorrow and just make sure it actually works and that it's a good deal before we waste anybody's time. So let me get in here real quick and see what the heck we got going on the MLS. I got to move all you guys out the way for a second. Get rid of that and go to, there we go. So the property we were looking at, first of all, let me go into my thing and find it. Save searches. Oops. That's where I keep all my deals. That was in this hot list. Results. Parkwood. Where have we seen Parkwood? Anthony Parkwood, Glenmore. Oh, was it Glenmore? No, it was Powell, so it's not this list. Crap. All right, let me go back. Oh, you know what? I know where it is. I think I looked at Powell individually by itself. So we're looking for Powell. It was this one. The second one. There it is. Okay. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I missed it. Oh, there it is. Awesome. It's still active. That's good. So this is the house. A couple things that we really discovered that the house needs is we talked about doing like a dormer for the bath. We can put a little small dormer right there, like a teeny dormer. It doesn't have to be very big. Another thing that's going to cost a couple bucks that I don't think we considered is we need to put a driveway in this house. People don't like to park on the street, especially when you're talking about having like a house that has, like, legitimately, this house will have 6 bedrooms and 4 baths when we're done with it. So it's going to be a pretty awesome house. But it does need a driveway, and it needs a small addition. When I say small addition, you're talking like $500 of material, $600 of material, 2 guys, 2 to 3 days, tops done. And it's like an 8-foot addition, so we can put a bathroom upstairs and make it 2 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs. Master suite on the first floor, living room, dining room, kitchen. Basement's going to be 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and a big family room. And then we got an addition in the back, which is kind of cool. Very hard to even tell, but definitely need a roof. But you can see most of the house, all the walls are in good shape. The doors newer, the windows were new. So we're saving like all this trim. We got HVAC running through the house. There's a lot of things in this house we're going to save. We're not saving East kitchen, obviously, but we always plan on new kitchen, but we have to pay attention to the fact that when you can save all your sheetrock and you can save, like, maybe sand those hardwood floors, you can see the sheetrock's all good here. The electric is all good where it is. So you're not going to like rewire the whole house. We're going to do an upgrade to the electric. We're not going to redo it all, but the doors are all pretty much savable. The windows are solid. I mean, there's a lot we're going to keep in this house. And now this is the second little addition. It has 2 bedrooms and 1 bath. It's off the back of the house. There it is. It's like right off the back of the house. It almost looks like an in-law suite. So this, pretty cool. So what we want to do with this, when I looked at it, all I really seen was this. And, looking at a Cape Cod, normal Cape Cod's only going to be about 13 or 1,200 square feet. And we've seen about 250, but we got to consider it has a 2-1 apartment off the back that's huge. And we're going to be making this pretty awesome by putting that small addition and doing all that. The good news is we're not going to gut it. We're not going to rip it completely apart. We're going to save as much as we can. And it doesn't have any pictures of the basement, but we do have a finishable basement that was very high. It was like 7 feet. It was really, really awesome, by the way. So no complaints there. What we want to look at now is we want to take this address and do a little search and dive in. Now we know what we're dealing with and what we're going to have to do to make it right, which is about 70K. Now we want to go back and do a search, really comparing apples to apples. When I looked at it before, I definitely was giving 0 value to the fact that it had that like apartment in the back, because I really couldn't tell from the pictures that it did have it. And when we got there, not only was the apartment, like, it was actually in a great condition. Like, it needed paint, carpet, maybe like a kitchen update. It was pretty awesome though. So the house doesn't look like much in the pictures, but it actually in real life, it's pretty awesome. It's also in the county and it's on a really nice street. You can't see that in the pictures either. So it's pretty amazing house for many reasons. I definitely liked it a lot. So what we're going to do, I went 1,000 days back. I always do, because I'm looking for really specific comps. And we can see top of the market, 285. That's actually mine, by the way, the 285. I sold that right around the corner. Very different looking house, so we can't really compare that. Mine did not have a finished basement though, and definitely didn't have that outdoor, didn't have that second thing. And you see, I was 2,000 square feet. The other house like 1,800 square feet. Now, and I sold this for 285, and I think I gave 10 back if I remember correctly, or 13. So it's only about a 275. So we can use this. I'm not as good as this, but in many ways, I have as many bedrooms. We have a couple cool things. This is in the city, by the way, and that other house is in the county. So that's a huge factor. But we do see that within the radius that I pulled, top of the market, 280. And you can see quickly it goes 280, 270, 270, 264, 259, 258. So we can see that, okay, we're definitely at 250, 260, pushing the top of the market. Let's take a look and see where we start to feel like we fall into. I will say with my house, no basement, and that's a big deal. No finished basements don't usually do as well. So this is a 4.3, has no pictures. What we'll do is just look at the actual listing and see what the remarks say. But it's a 4.31, 1919. I'm assuming it was renovated. in order to get that. It says best house in 21206, stunning rehab. All right, got a 1-car garage and 2,000 square foot of living space. We've got 1,800 plus the basement, so we're well over 2,000 also. Like we probably got about 2,400, 2,300. Got a rain shower and jacuzzi tub, true must see. Okay, 280, no help. It took 160 days. This guy RJ Brennan is the guy I learned not to overprice my properties from, because this is what he does for his flippers. He's like, yeah, let's just sit on the market for 160 days and I'll sell your house, because he tried to get 299, which is insane, right? I mean, you guys can see the highest comp was mine, which is more recent than his. The highest comp is 280, but he tried to get 299. Insane. Stop that, RJ Brennan. I seen him at one of my friend's house and told him. He's like, nah, man, that's what I do. And I'm like, people don't go crazy that you let their houses sit for 160 days. Like, it's the fastest way to go out of business as a house flipper is let your stuff sit for 160 days on the market. I've been doing this a long time, and I would go insane if my house sat that long. But if you're trying to get 299 when nothing's 299, then guess what? That will be the outcome. So this house actually looks a lot more like our house, and it's 1,700 square feet. It's 431. We're going to be a 6'4" when we're done. We're going to be 1,700 plus, the basement. So let's see. Oops. Oh crap. It's some kind of weird stuff. My Mac does weird things. Okay. What am I hitting? The wrong button or something? Oh, MLS is acting weird. Okay, cool. All right, so let's take a look at the pics and stuff. So nice house. I mean, this, is a very nice house. Very well done. Not staged. Looks great. I mean, I think they did a nice job on the renovation. Got a nice deck off the back. It's a good house for sure. Got a finished basement. All the things we'll have. Doesn't have the apartment, obviously, but really good house overall. And they pulled, let's see, this is a little bigger, so it's a little more closer. It's very close to us, only 0.2. And they were able to do that in 3 days. See, that's more like it, right? They did that. They didn't give any help. This is 2018, by the way, which is good. See, a lot of people think 2018, that's a long time ago. I look at 2018, I think, oh, wow, market's better, right? So this comp of 270 feels really solid because we know the market at least stayed the same. It didn't go down, right? So I feel, not saying that we're at a 270 because our house is not quite as nice as this, but also I don't think this is the county, just for the record either. I don't know. Let's see. Listing will tell us. 1 second. Yeah, it's the city. Yep, Baltimore City. Okay, so it is the city, and I'll tell you a little difference in the city.
Mike, does your school districts make a big difference there? Like if it's like on the line?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the county, the school district's going to be better, and the taxes will be better. So like these were $3,400 a year. And if you go back to our house, so being in the county, the school district's always going to be better. The city schools are horrendous. They basically just suck. Now this is 4,500. So our taxes are actually, oh, that's not, is that us? No, that's not us. That's just another comp, sorry. That's in the city also. Let's go down to ours. Where are we at? Okay, hold on. I got to get to us real fast. Okay, it's going to be on the 3rd page probably. There we were 105. Yeah, so when you're in the county, you're going to be in a much better school district. So you can see taxes are only $3,000 a year here. The school, it says public school, Hazelwell Park, Baltimore County. So it's a big difference. Yes, it's a county school. I don't know if that's probably not a great school, but it's not as bad as any city school. City schools just, I don't think there's such a thing as a good city school. I mean, it's just probably not, honestly. And counties will be not all perfect, but they'll at least be better. Probably be the difference between like metal detectors or not. But there might be metal detector at that school too. Not most of the people that live there. I guess the school's not an issue, but if it's in the county, there's, obviously you have a little better schools. You're going to have a little cheaper taxes. As you can see, like this RASP, 3,400 is cheap. It's 3,000 for that one. I think these are under tax assessed. That one's only 1,700, mine. Geez, mine was like a steal. Yeah, I didn't even know that. That's an insane low. That's going to get raised up. That's going to get taken up. Something's going to happen with that. So overall, I think our taxes actually are pretty. So you can see like RASP. I mean, this actually says Baltimore County. So this RASP here is 264. It's a 5.3. You know, we'll be 6.4. It's a funny looking house at best. I mean, it's a very weird looking house, but I think we're fairly comparable to a house like this. I mean, like, oh, they put a big addition off the front. That's why it looks so weird. And they didn't put the right windows or anything, but probably made that upstairs super big. And let's see if the basement's finished, because that'll be important. Basement's nice and finished. So this is a nice house. I mean, it's in the county. They got 264. Based on a couple things we're seeing, I probably still wouldn't go over 260. I mean, I'm not seeing a lot of strong comps above like 250 or 60, and I think 260 is fair. It took a little bit of time to sell this, but this is a really ugly house. To be fair, it is very ugly looking, and ugly houses sit longer. So what we'll do in a second is we'll run the numbers. So I'm just looking at a couple more 269s. You can see that house looks a little different than ours, but you know, it's a pretty normal house. All nice rehabs. I mean, these look great. I know I'm flying through them. It's kind of how I go through them. My patience to get through them quickly, so I don't spend 2 hours looking. But no finished basement, by the way. So that's a big deal. No finished basement's huge, because let's see if we can get square footage on this. But not having a finished basement is meaningful. So that comp really suggests that 260 would be a good number for this house. And it wouldn't sit. We know I feel very comfortable 259.9. We'd be able to sell this house pretty quickly. Finished basement. We got that in-law suite. We're on a really nice block, a very quiet block. We're in the county, where most of these comps are actually in the city, because we're very close to the city line. So not much I don't really like about the house. I think it's pretty awesome. So we'll do, now we know the numbers. I think we ran these earlier, and actually that was the number I said was 260. I got lucky on that, guys, just so you know. I do know the area actually really well, but at the same time, you know, I would have been open to this being higher, but the comps don't really suggest it's higher, without getting too aggressive. We don't want to get too aggressive. So I think the number we came up with earlier was 260 as an ARV, 70K in work, offer of 131, 1. I don't know if that's right or not. Let's see. We're going to 12% interest. You should be able to get that. 5% for an agent. Obviously, oh, something's wrong there. Maybe it was 121. That's going to go. Taxes are like 3,500 a year. Okay, so we're going to be like 121. Very important to get the 1 in there. Okay, so it must have been 121 we were offering, because that works, 30K. So the reason I'd be okay making 30K on this, they want 105 for it, but this is a highly competitive situation, so assume this is not going to go for 105. So I'd offer 121, 100. I'd make 30K on it. The house is actually overall not that hard to do. I think it's going to sell easily. It's going to be very desirable. The market's going up in that area like crazy. I sold mine, the one with no basement. I was nervous about not having a basement, and I sold mine in like a week or two. It was very quick. We got multiple offers. I think we ended up having 6 or 7 offers on it. So good, well done homes in this neighborhood are selling very well. This house is going to fly off the market. Anyone who wants to make an offer on it, then I would suggest you call the agent and try to get an offer at 121.1. You're not going to have an issue showing comps, obviously, with all that extra stuff, because there's plenty of comps. I mean, I don't want to push the comps and say it's more, because, you know, I know we can get 260. I don't know we can get 270. So, and I don't like to overprice stuff, because, you know, we seen that guy, remember RJ Brennan, that realtor. We don't want to do what he does and overprice for 299. He greatly overprices, though. I don't know how he came up with 299 as a starting price in that neighborhood, because nothing suggests that's a number that would ever work. So we never want to make that mistake. Feedback from the group, any questions in general? I know, like, I think Brian was looking at it, Mario was looking at it. We did a property view, so I know that I think Ashley was there and seen it. So a lot of people were there. Glory was there this weekend. So a lot of people seen the house, and I just, now knowing you've seen it, you know, Pete was there. So anything you want to try to give some feedback on, I'd love to talk to you about it. Just, you know, who in the group, if they need a deal, would be willing to offer on it. By the way, don't get too caught up on this one deal. This is definitely one I would make an offer, since I'm offering like 15K over list. That gets me excited, because I know that I win more often when I'm offering over list. because other people are kind of too greedy to do that, and that's cool. That's actually a tactical advantage. But there's other deals we looked at that looked really good also. Now, Marlo said the second one we looked at was under contract already, but let's check that while I'm getting some feedback from the group. Can anyone, just anyone, any questions you guys have? Because like that's a legitimate deal, and I would say like bottom line is like who wants to get on it essentially. And I'm just going to take a look at the other ones we looked at too.
Hey, Mike.
Yep.
For the repairs, as somebody thought, but how long would you say, like, efficiently, how long should that take for us to do?
How long would it take you to do? I mean, honestly, you're going to get faster on every flip. You know, 70K, you always want to look at it at around like, you know, 7K a week to 10K a week being fast. So, you know, 8 weeks on that would be very fast. And taking maybe 3 months would be intermediate, and taking like 4 to 5 months would be slow. So, I mean, I would say around 3 months would be reasonable, but you know, obviously it just depends on your ability to run a funnel and get manpower in there. It'd be no problem to do that house in 2.5 months without even breaking a sweat. But if you can't get manpower in there and it's sitting empty, then it's going to take longer, right? Like every house, it's going to take longer. If you got one dude in there working randomly, it's going to take forever. But if you can put 5 dudes on the inside, 5 dudes on the outside, you know, you've got a plumber working while everyone else is working, you can make a house go very quickly. I mean, we did a 45K renovation in 7 days, and that took 21 people working, you know, 8 to 10 hours a day for 7 days straight. So it's just a manpower equation. So when you ask the question of how long should it take, I would say for you, 3 months would be a fair estimate. And then about a month, you know, it should sell very quickly. If you put 5 months in your equation, that should be solid. That's what I run on. I'm usually running around 4 months in and out, but if I'm inventorying, then I'm averaging more around 5 months. So personally, for you, I'd say put 5 months. That's what I ran your thing at. I would keep it the same.
Okay, so that makes sense. And one other thing, when we're making offers, like when we're calling the listing agents, is there like a specific like day of the time? Time of day, like us, you know, to get a better hold of them. And do you typically like leave voicemails if you don't pick up the first time
I don't
around?
usually leave voicemails, to be honest with you.
Okay.
What I do instead is I will like call them any time of the day. That's not like stupid, but I mean the one deal we got done, Tanya got done for me. She called the lady like 7 o'clock at night on Saturday. So I mean, I would call if they answer. They won't. Generally, the way I look at it is, if they answer, they're willing to take your call. If they don't answer, then what I always do is send them a very to the point text. Because I mean, voicemail, I don't know. You know, you might not listen to their voicemail for a few days. So I like to text them and say, hey, is 123 Main Street still available? And I feel like it's such an easy text to answer that they likely will. And that's what we've seen. But if you call and say, hey, I was wondering if you could make an offer and you could do all this through a text, you're going to get like, nope. You're going to get no response. So just say, hey, is 123 Main Street still available? We've talked about going full stalker, but honestly, we haven't had to use that. But if I was really trying to get a hold of an agent and they're not answering, then the next thing I'm going to do is call their office and ask the front desk, what's the best way to get a hold of them? And then you read in the listing, because the listing might say, you know, call the showing contact for any questions, right? It might be an agent that's like, you know, and witness protection, because there are a lot of agents, big REO agents like that don't take calls, but they generally have like a designated person you can call. So second thing I do, if they don't answer after maybe 1 or 2 calls and a text or two, I'll call the office and just say, we're trying to put an offer on 123 Main Street. Who's the best contact person? I've been trying to get a hold of the listing agent, but it seems like I might be calling the wrong person. Is there someone better? And they'll often say, well, call Nancy on their team or John on their team, right? And they'll give you some help, right? Sometimes I'm not able to get a hold of anyone. And what they'll do is they'll be like, hey, well, this person works on their team. And then I might get someone on their team who it isn't as good as getting the agent, but it's second best to getting the agent would be getting someone still in their inner circle, still someone who could walk up to their desk and say, hey, what's going on? Can we get this through? Right? That might get a nudge, nudge, wink, wink, and, you know, told what to do. So my second thing is, I can't get the agent after I've tried a couple different lifelines. Then I'll go to the second, you know, either assistant or someone who works on their team or in their office, right? Just something I start doing a little bit of research. So the thing I do with the agent though is I call once or twice, different times a day. I text a few times. I friend them on Facebook, usually send them an instant messenger. That's like basic stalking. You know, you want to get high level stalking, you can do all kind of stuff, but like basic stalking is generally all you ever need. It's just like friend them on Facebook, send them a messenger, hit them up, you know, get their email and email them, right? You hit them with an email, text, a phone call, get their wife's name, find out where kids go to school, maybe get there and pick their kids up and be like, I got your kids. They would like, you know, where would you like me to deliver them at? Like, I was just trying to get a hold of you. And your kid said that, you know, you don't like to answer, you know, but funny enough, you often can get the real number that, because they often will put like a kind of fake number. By the way, I was kidding about the kids, just so you guys know, don't do that. And be like, Mike told me to kidnap the kids, but I got the deal because they didn't want their kids. They wanted their kids back so bad they gave me the deal. So don't do the kid thing, but like serious, the basic stalking is just friend them on Facebook, send them a messenger, send them a text, call them a couple times, call their office and ask the best way to get a hold of them. You know, figure out if they have an assistant or a co-listing agent. And you do all those things and your likelihood of getting to someone that can help you is pretty high. Pretty simple, right? It's pretty high. I never really had to go above and beyond that. There was a time when me and Delonte were talking about it. We had like 3 other steps, but they were getting kind of into creeper zone. So we don't want to get too creepy. You know, you don't really need to. And so that's the bottom line is I think, so if you do that, and then you'll be in good shape. I mean, but stay on them.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
I talked to that agent yesterday, and he said they have 9 offers on the place, and now they're keeping the offer window open for 21 days now.
Total 21 days?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said
so you understand why I hate propoffers.com, right? I mean, that's just some bullshit.
Exactly. That's
offers and are like, let's stretch it out. But did you tell him what you were going to offer and whether did he think that?
I said, how strong would I be at 121? He was like, I don't have them in front of me, but he's like, it doesn't matter because it was set up for 8 days, and now these guys just move it 21 days, and right now I have 9 offers that I got to look at. So I told him I'd call him like in a week and see where he's at, but he was like, he seemed pretty distraught, pretty upset about it, and I was like, all right, well,
yeah, dude, the prop offers is insane, like right,
yeah,
insane that they would do that. I mean, they are so insane that like that's why I hate anything with prop offers. I mean, like again, Ray's doing well in New Jersey with it, but locally in Maryland, it's just been a train wreck. Just because they do stuff like that, like, you know, and even if so, the longer they wait, the more likely some dude's going to come look at the ARV, and you know somebody's going to like one of RJ Brennan's like rehabbers is going to call his agent and say, hey, RJ, we're looking at this deal. What do you think the value is? And what do you think he's going to say? What do you guys think he's going to tell him?
Like 290,
305,
299, right? Like you listed that other property. Yeah, 299 is what you get for it, right? He'll tell them some dumb number. They'll buy it based on that dumb number, and then he'll try to list it and let it sit on the market for 160 days. So that's the issue. That's why speed is our friend, because the longer they wait, think of it like the more likely you are to find a team. An incompetent agent with a flipper who takes advice from his agent instead of like looking at his own stuff. And that's just going to see it differently, right? It's going to say, you know, I think it's worth 280 or 270. And honestly, I'm not saying it couldn't go for that on a good day, but I wouldn't want to have to count on it. Not at a 30K profit. It's just too risky. So the longer we wait, the more likely that's going to happen. So yeah, you're doing the right thing. Check in like a week, but honestly, for like Brian and everyone else that was kind of looking at that one, I devalue that because it's prop offers. And what I would do now is I would actually go and look for more deals because, you know, simply if we just go on the MLS, I'm sure we can look right now and there's probably opportunities out there. I look every day, there's opportunities. So like so actually there was another opportunity I wanted to see, but I don't see it. So I think you told me that one was under contract, and then Anthony was the third one we seen at 105, but Anthony's numbers, if we just run those, I think that one was listed too high. That was the third house we've seen, which was actually pretty nice, but I only think it's like 180. And I think we were thinking that was like maybe 50K in work, and he won 105. So I'm assuming that's not going to work. But let's see. Yeah, that's bad. So you're probably like 80,000 bucks or something. So you're quite off. No, it's even more than this. Shoot, it's even like maybe like 70,000. No, that's lower than I thought. So yeah, the offer would be 35K less. I mean, unless that thing has some days on the market. Is Ray still on? Because I was going to tell Ray this because I know he's looking for some deals. We may have lost Ray, but anyhow. Okay. Yeah. So what I was going to tell Ray and what I'll tell you guys also is look for stuff that's been on the market a while. So if we do a quick search, because I know a couple of you guys are looking, and you're doing MLS stuff now. If you guys have any questions too, feel free to ask. What we can do is we'll do a quick search and we just say Baltimore. Let's just look at Baltimore for right now, because Baltimore City always has something. But I'm just going to look at that very quickly. And we're going to get rid of this. And yeah, I'm going to go detached just so we can do this quickly. I just want to do a fast search of like what might be. I didn't put any days on the market. You know what? I'm going to leave it like that because I just want to see the best deals. And you see, I did no days on the market. So it means like, I don't care if it's been on the market a year. I mean, but I am also going to start lowest to highest and look at it because, you know, bottom line is I don't really want to look at the stuff. It's been out there forever. Now I put detached, I thought, but meanwhile, oh, these are kind of detached. It's like a row home that has nobody next to it. Okay, so these are train wrecks, obviously, these. So we're just moving past those. But that's interesting. But it's an auction. But honestly, any auction that you can pay double what it's listed for, you might want to call the auction company and ask them what they consider double. So, I mean, just looking at that house very quickly, it needs rehab. Don't be fooled by the fact it looks fairly livable. It's outdated, it's old, it's 3-1. I don't know if the basement can be finished. Often you can't see these. They don't let you see these. They make you come out to the auction. And if they do, I wouldn't waste your time because in front of the house, they tend to not go for fair prices. But if there was a way you could get in, let's see if they'll let you see it or not. I don't think they're going to let you see it, but I got a feeling they won't. We'll try though. Let's see. Oh, agency type, select one. Crap, where's that at? Oh, right here. Agency type, seller sub-agent maybe? Uh-oh, they gave me a combination. So we could go see it. And if you go see it, what I would recommend is go call, see it and put a number on it and ask them if they'll accept the pre-auction offer for X dollars. I have gotten them like to get, like I offered double of what it's listed for, and I usually gets their attention there. So you can call, like right now you would call, there's a number for the office phone and you're like, hey man, I'm calling about property X. I'm looking to make a pre-auction offer. And I see you got it listed at 25. I know you guys, that's an opening bid. I'd be looking to pay 61 for it. If that's the number, by the way, I'm just kind of giving you guys an example. I don't know that's the number, but at 61, it's worth looking at, right? Oh, crap. Did I lose the thing? Oh, that sucks. Oh, I lost the thing. I guess I got to do it again then. Like book 2 showings. Dude, like I'm a serious buyer. I went to see it twice.
Yes.
God, it's funny. Okay, next time, make sure I take a picture of it. Now I got to be like second showing. I don't know, whatever. Oh, God. Please specifically, let's just say an appraisal. Yeah, see, you just tell it anything, by the way. So that was my trick there. I just told it anything. I lied so I can get the lockbox. That's not, instead of being truthful. I'm going to take a screenshot of that in case anybody wants to see it. So you guys can see, like, I mean, I don't know, like if you can get in to see that, I'm interested because they're starting at 25. And generally the way auction companies work is their suggested opening bid, and that's what this is, by the way, is usually half of the price that they have as a reserve. That doesn't mean, obviously, now it says in here, this is, XYZ, list price is suggested opening bid only. So this is what we would do when we would list our properties. We would do exactly that. So that's interesting. I don't know if that's a good deal or not, but it's definitely worth looking at. It's in 21207, solid area. It's definitely a good area. I know the ARV on this, if the basement can be finished, is high 100s, maybe 200. So worth looking at. Pimlico Road, I'm not so sure about. That's another weird row home. I don't even know what's going on with that house. That thing just looks haunted. So this one. 732, 1,200 square feet. Adam Spritz, another auction company, one of my old competitors. So again, this is a suggested open bid. He's probably not going to take a pre-auction offer, but I know Billick and them will. Valley View, 50K. Larry Metalsi and other express auction services. You can see all the cheap ones are auctions because these aren't real prices. These prices are stupid. They're because they're half of what they probably should be. So that's why they seem so good. Keller Williams Legacy, Zevler, he's a wholesaler. So I don't know. We might want just to see what that actually is. I'll save this and send you this list, everyone. I'll put it on the Facebook group. But so this one looks reasonable, worth looking at potentially. I mean, we'd have to comp it and look at it, but I would say, you know, I think it's at least worth looking at because the price is so low. But it could be not low, honestly, by the way. That could be a bad neighborhood. So when I say low, it just seems initially low. Oh, by the way, anything we like, we're going to click. So I didn't like that one. I didn't like that one. I don't know what the deal with that one is. Oh, that was another auction. That's why we're passing on that one. Valley View Road, another auction. This one is a wholesaler. Zev is a wholesaler. Actually, I feel like that's who Marlowe bought his property from. Crap happened. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna knock off a few. Somebody mute themselves, whoever's making all that noise, like washing their dishes. Okay, I know who it was. I won't say no names. So got Ramsey Street's bad neighborhood. And Liberty Heights, that's not bad. 3,400 square feet. That's maybe a little much on that one. That's probably like a multi-unit. William Featherstone, he's hard to get a deal done with. He's kind of a shyster. I've had a couple deals almost to the finish line. He like sold them off to another investor. He's definitely, and I'm going to pass on it just because of that, just because, yeah, that's my experience. Plus, it's a little big at 3,400 square feet. So we'll kind of leave that alone. We don't really want 3,800 square foot houses. Same thing with this, right? I mean, these might be a little better suited as like multi-units. In general, we really don't want to be doing like, because you know, you got 2,800 square feet, you're going to spend well over 100K on that. You know, it's just going to get spent on that kind of square footage. So this one I liked, 2nd Street, 21225. Is this an AA County or nope? It's Baltimore City. So probably not going to sell for much. It's in pretty good shape though. 1,700 square feet. We'll look at that later. That might be like good. I don't know. Norfolk, we've done a lot of deals on Norfolk. So Norfolk 80K is actually worth looking at because we know Norfolk's always going to be, you know, 200 plus. So numbers make some sense potentially. Looks like it's in bad shape. We don't see that it's an auction or anything, so that's pretty solid. 4,300 Norfolk. I've actually seen that one, funny enough. Virginia Avenue, 21215. Yep, that one looks solid. You can see I'm excited about all these right now. You know, regular sales. So there's plenty. You see, like there's more than enough deals. Main Street, 2,200. I'm gonna just look at that just in case. Chestnut Hill, 21218. I don't really know what's going on with this one. All right, let's check it out. And that's in Homestead. That's a rough neighborhood. Beaumont Avenue, rough neighborhood. Fleetwood Avenue, 21206, the area we work in all the time, so we love that. That's definitely going to get a look. Parkwood, I think we already looked at Parkwood, right? What was the deal with that one? Did we look at Parkville? Oh, Parkwood. You know what? We never looked at Parkwood because I scheduled an appointment and the agent never got back to me. So Parkwood could be a good one. I tried to schedule an appointment. The agent, Tanya, never got back to me. Like she's not letting me just schedule a showing, which means it's hard to show. That could be an opportunity to get on the phone and be like, hey man, how do we get in and see this? It might be occupied, right? It might be a little more difficult to show. That's why she's sitting on the market though, because she isn't responding to anyone since Saturday. She ain't never called me back. I actually booked a showing and she had to approve it and she never called me back. So that's good actually, because it means she's doing that to other people, which means it could be a decent opportunity. So this one here, Woodland Avenue, 21215. I'm not sure if that's a good neighborhood or not. We'll have to look at it. And then we got 6th Avenue in Brooklyn. Is that AA County? That's BA again. So maybe, I don't know. Because in the city, we have been selling some stuff in Brooklyn, like single families like that. And, you know, they've actually been selling pretty well. 21230 Rittenhouse. We've done a couple in Rittenhouse. That's like kind of Lakeland area. they, you know, I don't know what the ARV, they generally are only like high 100s. So, but still worth looking at. And that was 212, 212. Really know what this area, Glenwood, Baltimore, Govins. Yeah, kind of stay away from Govins. A little too rough for me. Brendan Avenue, 21223, 94. Mike Farball. I mean, I think we got enough to look at. I mean, I only look to see if there's something really juicy, but I think overall, I look like most of the stuff we've seen looks pretty solid. Now we got Glenmore Avenue. I don't think we've seen this one, and this is in Hamilton. This is 97. This has been on the market 26 days. I've probably never seen this one. I'm interested in that because that's a good area. Those sell for in like low twos, mid twos. And you got Edgewood. This is a beautiful home. Really nice looking for 99. Like, look at that house. That's very nice. That's Ashburton, good neighborhood. Gina Gardeau, I got a good relationship with her. So, I mean, I got her personal hotline. I've done enough deals with her where I found, like, once you do a deal with an agent, like a big REO agent, you generally at some level, they'll probably call you at some point from their personal phone. You save that personal phone for future reference. So like if they call you and, cause they won't do that when it's just a stranger, but once you're doing a deal with them, you somehow can get what I call the hotline, you know, like their actual phone that gets a hold of them. And then, you know, they know you and they like you, they'll answer the phone and talk with you, but they just don't, you know, if they do it with every stranger, they would be consumed all day long. They wouldn't be able to get anything done. So this one, Woodhaven Avenue, familiar with that. We're going to leave that one alone for now. There's Anthony. We looked at that already. Windmere, I think we're pretty solid right now. We got a lot of stuff. Just making sure there's nothing really good that pops out. That, yeah, Cedarhurst Road, 21214. That one could be good. Or honestly, you know, when it starts to get a little days under it too, it could be good. East 35th Street, Waverly. I mean, this could be a good deal. I don't really know Waverly that well, but I know Waverly's a good neighborhood. I haven't done a ton of deals in Waverly because it used to be bad. Now it's kind of getting better. So, and I haven't really done a lot because it's not really, just haven't done a ton there yet. Parkmont Avenue. I think we looked at this, but you know what the comps are for this. Charles Parish. Oh, that's we looked at that. We had to pass on that because that's like crazy, dude. You guys could try to get a deal done with him if you want. I'm not going to pull it off. I hate Charles Parrish, and you know, but you guys can do whatever you want. That's my first mentor. He's a psycho, but that don't mean you can't get a deal done with him. Generally, though, he's pretty savvy. So his mission in life is to get over on people. So you know, obviously, when you guys start to negotiate with him or anything, make sure you talk with me because we're gonna have to strategize. He's kind of like, he looks like Yoda too, by the way. But not like smart like Yoda, but he's slick for sure. So you definitely have to keep your eye out on him. This is an interesting deal. Oh, I know this deal. This deal got reoffered to us. This is actually a great house. And this was 125 and it's back on the market. It must have fell apart. We tried to buy this. This is, you know, Amy Orzo is always her, I forget who her agent is, but he tried to get us in. And he's difficult to get deals done with, but they called us back and asked us if we wanted this. This is actually a great house. In a great neighborhood. I know the comps already, and it's about 70K in work and 250 ARV. So if you guys want, Ridgeview Avenue is pre-approved. I've already done all the work on it. They turned my offer down. I was offering around 115 to be honest, and I think so. You know, you might have a shot with it. We'll run the numbers. Let's look at the numbers very quickly, but I know the math. And it was like 260, I believe. It's really actually a very beautiful house. I think it went at like 260 and comp it again. I'm remembering 70. I have to look at my hot sheet. And I remember I was pretty close to list, but I was a little under list and they had a better deal. So yeah, I probably was like 115, 120. So maybe call them up and see if they could do list on that. I can tell you that house, you don't need to go see it. That's a great house and a really good location. That thing is really nice. It's right by the house that you guys are all looking at too, by the way. So I'll just show it to you, but you can see this is really nice looking and it kind of like has a beautiful view of a hill in the back, but inside, as you can see, it's just not in bad shape at all. And it's really big in there. So we had to redesign some stuff. So it actually looks in pretty nice shape, but it needs a redesign. So, you know, 70K, you know, it might be less than 70, but I know it feels like 70, like when you look at it, don't look like it's that bad a shape, but it really does need some overall redesign. But really nice street, by the way, like very nice looking house, nice street. When me and Tanya, we did the layout on it and everything, we were super excited to buy it. So honestly, I would definitely be on that one.
What are they asking?
115, yeah. So like the number they
115.
were asking 125 before, and I offered them like 115, maybe even 120, and they said no. They had another offer, but they called me back later and asked me did I still want to offer that, and I didn't need deals at the time, and I didn't even realize it was back on the market. I think they've been taking like stupid people's offers, like newer rehabbers, and then they're just getting into it and leaving it alone because it's one of those houses that looks good on paper. When you look at it in the pics, it looks like it don't hardly need anything, but it's 2,000 square feet. It needs a little redesign. Bottom line is 100% it needs a little bit of work, right? I mean, it needs, like, you're going to spend 60, 70K, mostly because it's 2,000 square feet and it isn't as nice as it looks, if that makes sense. But it's a really nice house. Once it's renovated, it's going to be premium, right? It's absolutely going to sell for top dollar. It's going to be an amazing home. It's really nice. Like, seriously, it's going to be a great finished product. So I was pumped to buy that, excited to buy it. But math-wise, let's look at the math and see where we should be buying it from. So 260, 70, 115. Yeah, so right there, we could be buying it for around 115, maybe 120. Obviously, if you want to call them and just kind of throw a softball at them and tell them you'd probably be around list, maybe even a little higher, see what they say. Could they get it done for you? I already know what he's going to tell you, by the way, because he's not optimal for us, but he's going to say, no, man, you should make an offer. And then you ask him, will he make it? And he's like, yeah, I'll make it for you. But then he will never give you a piece of information. We never get a deal done with this guy because he refuses to hook us up, man. And he's like the only dude in the world that won't do it. So, I said like every agent will give you some information. This guy is pretty savvy. He flips and he does some stuff, but he might be in a situation now where this deal might be a headache and he might want this gone. Because 51 days on the market, that's actually, it's older than 51 days. It must have went off and on again. But, for him, he's probably not looking good with his REO asset manager right now. The fact that he sold this multiple times and fell apart, he's looking for a serious buyer now. So he might play a little more ball than usual because, look, he doesn't want to look bad. And I'm telling you, this is making him look bad at this point. So knowing that, I would say you got a better shot on this than most deals with him. So I'm not joking. We were very in on this deal. This was on our hot sheet and we were fighting hard for that one. This one's 119, 2,000 square feet, but Ashburton, again, I mean, this area sells for good money, man. I mean, my one student, Robert, in the higher level group, he was getting crazy numbers for most of these houses. So if this has like a finishable basement for this house, I mean, he's gotten as high as like 300 on stuff like this. So that's pretty beat up looking, but let's say you're spending 100K on it, it's probably, but it's probably worth like 280, 270. It's actually a little worse looking in the pics than it looked. It didn't look that bad when we were looking at the small pics. So I guess that's why it's good to blow it up. It's pretty rough. So yeah, you need about, let's call it 100K on that one. Good old house, 2,000 square feet. You probably spent 100K. Put you at 219. Not so good. It's only 15 days on the market. So if I have to make a professional assessment, I'm thinking it's around 280. It's not enough spread. Honestly, it'd only be about 60K spread. That's not going to be enough to take on a challenge like that. Probably need to get this for around 90, probably. So we're not there yet. But if I was looking through deals, I'd be putting that on the check back later. Because, if it sits a little longer, like 30 days on the market, you come back, you make an offer, it's 20K less, you got a shot. So I'm going to go ahead and stop at this point and go ahead and save what we have because I think we have enough stuff to look at. My favorite one of all the deals that we looked at, because I know it is obviously the value view, but that doesn't mean like a lot of these deals are pretty solid. Norfolk sounds familiar. I think Norfolk is either a student or someone. So let me try to look at that. I mean, it looks like it's in Cambodia. Oh man, that thing's rough. I mean, that one looks a little ragged, doesn't it? I mean, that one, so when we're talking 80, 85, I would think that might be 80, 85 because it looks a little like haunted house. So that one looks in pretty rough shape. I do know the comps on it, probably 220, could be 220, 25, something like that. So, and they were asking 80K. What you're putting 80, 116 to 220 is going to only be about 60K spread. Again, a little on the tight side. You can comp it if you want. It could be as high as like 240, 250, but I'm thinking this one's a little bit, it's close, but let's see the days on the market. 37 days on the market, so that's always good. You get 37 days on the market, you make an offer for 70 or something, you might be able to squeeze it out. And probably like 65 or 70, you can get it. Sold as is, 3-bedroom, detached, says West Forest Park, convenient to the park. Oh, upcoming online auction event. Yep, okay, it's out. We don't want that because that means it's not even the real price. So I'm glad we read the remarks on that. Then we won't waste our time on that. And then let's look at Virginia. So we're doing now is our second cut through to see if anything like we just found, we want to weed out anything that doesn't look good. So, you know, anything we can see. It's a 511, 1,500 square feet. You know, it's going to be a nice house. It has a good look to it from the pics. You know, it looks like a nice house. I could see that being a beautiful home. We're done with it. Nice grass. Look, they got great grass on the porch. Like nice lawn. You can play golf, putt-putt on the front porch. Man, the house doesn't look bad. It actually, you know, look, these are things I'm looking for when I say it doesn't look bad. So I'm looking at the fact that the sheetrock looks reasonable. The trim looks reasonable. I see ducts, so meaning like you probably got to redesign it, but we don't have to gut it and do all new sheetrock, all new electric, all new plumbing. Might be able to save the front door. I can't really tell. It's kind of ugly in the pic, but you know, maybe paint would be enough. But I'm loving that it has ducts in it. Likely when there's ducts, it means they probably upgrade the electric and plumbing. So a lot of those things come with putting ducts in because it's difficult to put ducts in a house when you don't have a good enough panel. So yeah, and actually this all looks pretty nice. I mean, you're not going to save any of it, but it looks, the house overall looks well kept. Can't tell if you can finish the basement. It looks like maybe no. Oh, this bedroom 3, bedroom 5. I mean, look, it even looks like newer carpet in some of these rooms. So the question mark's the basement because that'll greatly reduce the price, but let's pretend it's a 5-1 right now because that's what it looks like. It's a 511. We could easily take one of the bedrooms, make a master suite, add another bath, and make it like a 4-2-1. And, you know, maybe minimum layout change. It's 80K. So probably something like this if we're not finishing the basement because it looks like we can't. Or maybe we can. It says still great. I don't know. Maybe you can finish the basement. So yeah, you have to comp it and see. Comp it and see what you think, but my quick guess is that it's probably going to be around like a 200. But I don't know, to be honest. I'm not a master of that area, but I know it a little bit, so I'm just giving you an educated guess, but I could be high or low. But I know I'm probably in the ballpark within, you know, pretty vague ballpark though, just so you know. So that one seems reasonably, you know, because it's probably only about 60K in work because there's a lot we can save there. So now you're doing 60, you go 140 into 200, that's 70% Mayo, right? 70% ARV. So that number works pretty well. If you put 60K in, buy it for 80, sell it for 200. Again, we got to verify these numbers, but for me, it's been on the market 251 days. So I'm loving that whole fact because now if I come in with a strong offer, we might have a shot. Right. So, I mean, you need to comp it. I would actually put this on my hot list too. And I'd want to comp that and kind of get a feel for whether it's actually a good deal or not. Main Street, 2,200 square foot. This is in a solid area, very good area of Ashburton. It looks like a great house. I mean, big house, but nice. It's going to be beautiful when it's done, but it is a little bit of square footage. You know, now we got radiators versus we got wallpaper. It's peeling. You got these things. It looks a little old. Wiring might need to be updated. You know, so now we're looking at this and we're seeing all this, you know, crap in here. It might need sheetrock. This is going to be a lot more expensive because you can see how old it is, right? We can start to assess that this thing might need electric, might need plumbing. So if I was guessing on this one with the square footage, I'm probably thinking 85 to 100. So that's just a quick guess. You know, you probably, Robert was doing these all day long and he was doing these for like, I mean, he pretty much had a standard like 80, 75 to 90K is what he spent on all these. And they were always around the square footage. They look like this to start with. And he always bought them for around this number. The question mark on this one, obviously, is let's say it's 85. Now you're 170 in. Do we need to comp it and see what this street, what this square footage would sell for? My guess is somewhere between 225 to 250. Making it a somewhat of a tight deal for that kind of renovation, but it could be higher. So you'll need to comp and find out. Each street is a little different in this area, and I've seen stuff like he sold stuff for like 3.25, but it was like 2,700 square feet and he got like 3.25, originally thought 280 and he ended up getting 3.25. So it's one of those ones where he got multiple offers and we drove the price up. So he kind of artificially got that. So I like that one. I think it's in the ballpark. It's worth doing additional research. This one here, Fleetwood, Rasberg, you know, we love this neighborhood. You know, I don't see, looks like it needs work, but it's now only 1,100 square feet. So obviously Can't tell if the basement can be finished or not. Looks like it could be. I mean, if we can finish the basement, we could probably easily make this like a 4-3 or something. A little bit on the small side, so it might end up being a 3-2. With that being said, area it's in, probably 65K in work, maybe 70K in work. They want 90 for it, or what do they want for it actually now? Oh, 85. Yeah, this one probably doesn't work because it's probably low 200s. So the numbers got tight on that one quick. So we'll move on that. We'll move away from that one. That one was a little tighter than it looked.
Hey, Mike, quick question.
Yeah.
For the properties that you say that you want to follow up, are you using Trello to like as a guy to like what to follow up, or what is your process of following?
MLS hot sheet is just a spreadsheet I use, and I'll basically just put them in a spreadsheet. I copy and paste the address in the spreadsheet. I put the MLS link in. I put the list price, the agent's number in, and I just do that for each house I want to follow up with. And then I just look at that sheet every day and follow up on that sheet until I come to a conclusion. Then I have a little space where I can put the ARV, what I think the renovation cost is, because I'm throwing it out to you, but once you've done your research and you think it's a certain number, then you want to follow up with it. And I'll see if I can find a copy. I'll look for an MLS hot sheet as soon as we're done. I should have one floating around. I haven't had to do it in a while because my last MLS hot sheet, I couldn't find it. So my MLS hot sheet was like 4 sticky notes on my wall. And I was literally carrying sticky notes around in my pocket, and I got 2 deals from that. So, it's not high level science, but I think the spreadsheet was more efficient if you need to look through more than a couple properties, because the sticky notes got kind of filled up easily. But like anything you can use and just look at every day and then just keep systematically following through. Like right now, just in this search, there's multiple opportunities. And what we need to do now is we need to kind of get through them and start rating how valuable each one is. And, like if we comp one and we're like, oh, that ARV is a little lower than we expected. This one is worth talking about because, that stuff is true when people don't let you see it. Now this one's Alex Fox. So say we just noticed that, we're going to get rid of that. This one is 6th Street in Brooklyn. What I wanted to look for here is 6th Street in Brooklyn. Actually, I know this house. Oh, yeah, that's where they built all those new green homes. But man, there's a lot of drugs going on right there. That's like a crack house. That used to be a crack house. That's a rough neighborhood. That's where I grew up. Man, this thing looks in great shape, though. It looks like an awesome rental. This would actually probably be a pretty sick rental.
Yeah.
I mean, 90K. It's a little on the pricey side, but for 18 days, you can hit them later. Try to buy it. I mean, it looks like it's in fairly rentable shape, and you probably rent that for like $1,500. I don't know what it's actually worth though, because there's going to be almost no comps in that part of Brooklyn for any real money. So, I mean, its actual value, its ARV is probably 140, to be honest, fixed up. So I'd pass on this one. We're going to pass on that now. We see where it is. It's in the hood part of Brooklyn. There are parts of Brooklyn that are pretty decent. That's not it. So I'm going to see this one. This is right by, see it says Hanover Street and Potee and all that. And there's Patapsco Avenue. That's the sucky part of 2nd Street. A lot of hookers and stuff. So I'll get rid of that. So I was just looking at the Brooklyn ones and seeing if they were like, there's parts where it gets really close to the county. And if you're kind of close to the county, but you're in the city, someone will buy it still. Both of these were not, by the way. They both were kind of a little far out. So we got this Lakeland one. I've done like 2 on Rittenhouse before, and they were pretty low comps. And let's see if there's anything in the remarks it gives us. It says price to sell. Updated bathrooms. As is, where is condition. It's price to sell again. Okay. Let's see, it's 66 days, 90K. I don't know. I mean, if I had to guess, this is like a 150, 160 ARV. So you guys can look at it. You go, let's pass on it. Because, see, we got to make tough choices. So you see how I kind of was on the fence right there, and I was like being a little flip-floppy, and I was like, maybe we'll look at it, maybe we won't. It's actually really important that you don't look at it if you have a good guess that it's not going to be a good deal. If you're newer, you're going to have to look at more until you start to get a feel for it. Okay, you'll start getting a feel for what's good and what's not. So yes, you will have to comp more properties. You'll have to do the due diligence, but it's actually part of your learning process is to look at a lot of properties, get really good at comping. It's, perfect practice makes perfect, and you just get better, right? You get more experience. I'm personally not going to look at that, and I'm going to save you the time because I can give you my experience on this one, and we're going to get it focused down to a handful of properties worth looking for, and we'll get rid of any of them that don't really fit the bill. So I've got Glenmore. Let's take a look at that one. So Glenmore is Baltimore City. Hamilton is actually a very good area, a very good street. House is a dump. Perfect. Like a dead body or something right there. I don't even know what the heck's going on. I mean, this house is a dump, but perfect. What we love, by the way. We like nice flat backyard. The house is nice. I mean, yeah, it's nice. My guess, 1,400 square foot, 4.2 already. If the basement can be finished, this is probably about a 240, 250 house. So been sitting for a bit. Well, if let's say we're putting 70K into this 170 and it's worth 250, that would work. That's going to be 80K spread. 80K spread. I'll show you. I already know. What do you guys think that's going to be profit wise? Let's see if anyone's got their head calculator going. If you got a calculator, don't cheat.
I would say like 40K.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right where. What did they want? So
35K.
Yeah, 35, 40 would be my guess. So that's kind of my guess. It's like 100K they want for it. Let's see. And hold on, we gotta make some. Oh, that's 5%. Yeah, 40K. So 40K is close. Yeah. So okay. I mean, if it's 250, I don't know it's 250, but it could easily be 250. Could be 230. It's 230. Then it's a little bit lower. Some of these things we won't know until you get in front of the house. But even at 230, the deal's in the ballpark because they've been listed almost a month. So if it's 230, you just offer 90. And it's not a waste of your time to go out there with a 90K offer for a $197,000 house that got 19 days on the market, right? That could get done. So I'm going to leave that on our list. I think that's worth looking at. What you'll have to figure out in order really to nail in the comp is you're going to have to figure out, can the basement be finished? Because that's going to be a big piece of whether it can get the high number or not. And that's going to be an important piece. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to comp this one since you guys are okay. We'll comp this one because I like that one. I like Valley View too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give up on the rest. Hold on, we didn't. Okay, cool. All right, got it.
Hey, Mike, I'm not on video, right?
Are you naked? Because if you're naked, then yes, you are on video.
Awesome.
Pretty impressive, dude. We didn't even tell you, man. So you look good, man.
I know. It's not a secret.
Everyone knows. That's how you're getting all these deals, man.
Yeah. All right, I'm just making sure.
I don't know.
No,
I can't see if you're on video, so don't take my word for it. I got you minimized right now, so I can't tell.
All right, no worries. All right, I'm good.
Yeah, just cut the video off then, if you're not sure. This one's a little on the high end. I think we talked about this one being, that'll probably be about 80, 90. Probably not good enough for us right now because we've got some decent amount of stuff. So here's what I'm going to do. We got a decent amount. I'm going to narrow that down. Now we got 6 houses. So these 6 houses, between anyone that's looking for a deal in Baltimore and there's any of these areas, then I would, and what I would do is you have to prioritize. You can't really look at all 6 of them. So what I would do is say, like if this Walferson area, if you like that area, then go ahead and, look at the deals there. You got one though that's like, where's this one at? 21207. If you like 21207, then look at the deal in 21207, right? Because that's closer to home. So you can actually prioritize the deals by the ones that are actually closer to where you want to work. But if you're just like, I want to look at all of them, then that's cool too. And the ones that I've kind of identified as making some sense would be this one. So let me go ahead and save these so we have them. Okay, so what I'm doing now is my new save search, and it's going to be my MLS search. But you notice every time I do this search, there's something worth looking at. So if I really wanted to go hard at this, I probably could do this search every day and go see a property or two every day. It wouldn't take me doing that very long before I would get a deal. I mean, like often like 7 days and I got a deal. What is the days? Day 2. Let me look on the phone real quick. 11. Okay, so we're going to save this so we have it. And then I'm going to go ahead and comp that Glenmore. And I'm also going to comp that Valley View again to make sure I'm not giving you guys bad numbers because I'm going off my memory. It's usually pretty good, but it's been like 2 months, so I can't count on it to be perfect.
Now you got
Let's see. So we're going to do Glenmore and just take a quick look at it. And it's getting detached. All right, see what we can come up with real fast. I'm gonna do a quick comp on it because obviously we won't be here all night, but I'm not rushing you guys or anything. But just in general, I want to make sure. So we can see that houses sell for pretty good money over here. Our house isn't as good as these top comps, but you can see we can get pretty good money around here. So it's the comps are solid. And I think we thought maybe like 250 on the Glenmore, guessing. Like, so we see these are 300. These are big, right? They're really big houses. That one's not so big for 300. Well, it's 1900, so it's big. You can see this one's 1800. I think we had 1500. So you'll see when it starts to look like our house, right? That's 2100, 5.4. These are very big homes, 1800, 960. So that's the first one that looks like ours, and they got a good number for that. That's a high number, by the way. Hamilton Avenue, 1800. We're going to pass on that one. You got 1100, so that one definitely looks like ours. So you can see they're getting up to 265 for 1100 square feet. That looks just like our house, by the way. And that's only 0.3 away, so I would say that's a similar area. We're going to take, so that actually was the exact same house, and our square footage is bigger than 1100. This is only a 3.2. That's a good number. We just have to kind of confirm streets. This is actually inferior to our house. So this is called a Craftsman. I want to show you something very quickly on this one. You see ours, right? You guys just see ours real quick? Oh, crap. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, so that looks just like ours. I kind of lost ours, unfortunately. But our house looks exactly like this, just really ugly and beat up. I don't know all this crazy stuff they did in here. That's kind of insane, that backsplash. That backsplash is like insane, dude. Don't do that backsplash. You have a choice. Seriously. I thought it was zebra stripes at first. Just a little much. Oh, it's actually just like, yeah, it just has a weird pattern. Yeah, it actually looked insane in the picture, though. Nice job otherwise. Some of the stuff's a little specific. But anyhow, they got a finished basement. They got everything. Let's see. So this Bayonne is a Cape Cod, and that's considered a Craftsman. The Craftsmans in this area always sell for more. This Cape Cod actually sold for pretty good money, but it's 1,700 square foot, 5.4, and that's why. This one's only 1,100 square foot, 3.2, and got more money. So you can see the Craftsman, you're like, why is that going for so much more? And all the Craftsmans always go for more. We have a Craftsman, which is kind of awesome. You can see this is a Craftsman. So we love that. And that's like 3.2, less square footage than us, 0.3 away. What I'm hoping to see soon is something a little closer, but there's the Craftsman. That goes only 1,400 like ours, went for 262. Maybe we can find something on our street. It would be awesome. This looks like a Craftsman. Yeah, that's a Craftsman. That's 255 pending. I don't know what this is. It's just weird in general. I remember this deal though. I remember this one. Remember that weird porch. I almost bought that one. Luis, Hamilton, 0.3, 0.4, 0.4, 0.2. Anything close to ours? Just out of curiosity. Yeah, 0.2 is not that far. Hemlock's not a very good street. Glenmore. Exact house. There's our exact house right here. So I'm always going to give preference to something on our street because it's literally on our street and it's the exact same house. So even though we've seen all those 250s and 260s, the trump card is Glenmore. Any house that's the exact same house on our street always wins, because we don't know that if people pay more on Beachland than they'll pay on Glenmore. What we do know is like this Glenmore right here, and let's look at it very quickly, is on our exact street. I mean, it is literally the exact same house, like to the T. It's got 100 extra square foot, 4.3, went for only 239. Let's see details. Took 8 days to sell, and they gave 6K back, so about a 233 net. And let's see what the overall look looks like. Okay, I mean, nice job, very nice rehab. Got radiators in it though. They didn't get rid of those. I'm sure they have HVAC, but not a high-end renovation, by the way. This looks a little more homeowner, like, you know, like it's a homeowner house. So that's good then. That actually suggests we could get more money than this. I wonder if they finished the basement. That looks out of date. You know, that's out of date for sure. So this house is just a really clean homeowner house. It does have a finished basement. It's very nice, very well done. You can tell it's a homeowner house. Got a nice tree house. That's super cool. But got 233. I think we actually would get more. So, I mean, off this comp, I'd probably be 239, 240 or something. I mean, I feel comfortable we can get that. But now we don't really know though, because that kind of throws me off since it's not actually a renovation. So it's a little more difficult. If that was a real renovation, then I would actually use that as an A comp. The problem is it's not a renovation, and we don't know how not being a renovation changes everything. Because you never know, a house could go for considerably less, right? They don't get, so we can look at Evergreen. I mean, this looks just like our house also. It's smaller. Let's see, it's probably a real renovation though. Yeah, it's a real renovation. Not even that special though. I mean, it's just nice, but oh yeah, nice renovation. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and just say like maybe that's active by the way, maybe 250 on this because I don't have time to like narrow it down too much. But if we go back to our thing, I think 250 actually made some sense. So if you guys are taking notes, then I would go 250. We're gonna go back and look at the search very quickly and just see. And let's just see what our numbers were. I think they wanted 97 for it. See Glenmore. Yeah, you can see it's the exact same house, 1,400, 4.2, 27 days on the market. We said it would be about 70K in work. So yeah, you'd be about 160, I don't know, call it 170K in, 250. Let's run our, so as I'm doing this, by the way, I always have my deanalyzer open, set correctly. I put 250 in, 70K in work, buy it for 90. Oh, that's a really good number. So 97. So the only question mark, I mean, this number is really good. So that Glenmore actually looks like a really good deal. I'm not sure why it looks like such a good deal. No one's on it though, because now that makes me wonder, like, did I miss the comp? Or let's look at this a little more closely. Because if it is actually the numbers we just seen, you guys should be all over this one. Oh, it's dumpy. Oh yeah, it's the one with like the dead body and all that. But yeah, 70K would still do it. So the question mark that we won't know until you go to see it is the question mark is, can you finish the basement? Because that would change. I'm gonna schedule showing for everyone too, so you have it. Did I already schedule showing for this or something? Okay, keep saying, oh, agency type, that's what. Yeah, not yet confirmed. Okay, I'm sure they'll reach out when they do. I'll get back to you guys. But here's the lady's name. If anyone, I would be reaching out to them. So if anyone's on here, when you're seeing this, when I'm going to put this up on ML, I'm going to put it up on the site on our Facebook page. But the problem is when I put it up, it won't have the agent's phone number in it. Okay, and what you always want to look for is listing agent is Rebecca Rivera, and that's her phone number there. It looks like a cell phone. Don't call the office, okay? Call the cell phone. That's always your first try, okay? Because this looks like, this definitely is worth looking at. I mean, this deal looks like one of the better ones we're seeing. Even if it's 240, the deal works well. I think it's actually more like 250, but 240 was not even renovated. So of the ones we're looking at, I thought Glenmore was actually pretty awesome. Mostly because I know that's a solid area and sells very well. Parkmont's another one. Oh, we wanted to look at this one, this Ridgeview. Let's take and comp this real quick. Because I know this deal, and Tanya actually seen it, and she did like a layout on it and everything. So let's take a quick look at this one. You can do most of what I'm doing, by the way, on like Redfin if you don't have, Redfin, Zillow, you can do a lot of it and get a feel for what's selling. It's a little slower, but it still works. I mean, you can still get like, all we're trying to do now, by the way, is we're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to get a feel of whether this is a good use of our time to get in our car and go see it. That's all we care about at this point. Once we get in there, if you're like, okay, it looks good, the comps look good, the house is awesome, then, I can help you comp it better. You can put in a request for me to comp it and I can comp it for you. And, and kind of dig into a little deeper, send you comps. You guys do have access to that. I have to get you a link. Tanya's working on it now, but you guys can send to my VA and ask them to send you like all the comps, and she'll do like a half-mile radius and send you everything. So you can look at it. Just, you can't send like 7,000 things to her, obviously, because she'll quit and then we'll have no one to do it because she'll be like, guys sending 200 a day. So if you when you send it, the only rule is that you've actually done some of the research yourself, the numbers add up, and that you'll be able to make like a list price or better. So like if you sent that Glenmore, I'd have no issue with that because obviously it looks to me like the math works very well. So, you know, just ballpark, obviously. And if it looks like it works very well, then we want to be comping it for you, right? We want you guys to be looking at it and comping it and doing all that. So Parkmont Avenue, let's start up here. And we kind of know Parkmont. I'm going to comp it again just in case it's a different part. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Parkmont where my house was. Oh, no, Ridgeview right here. Oh, this house here, man. I seen this house too. This house was awesome. I should have bought this house and lived in it. It's like the best house I've ever seen. This house is 4,400 square feet and it is like a mansion, dude. It was awesome. Like this was the coolest house I've ever seen. Complete dump. Look at this thing, man. It's a little walkway and stuff. Look at the back of it. It's like crazy. It had a big built-in pool in the back. This thing was insane, man. It's a complete dump and it sold for 300 and a quarter in that neighborhood, but this house was nice. I have no clue what it's doing in that neighborhood, by the way. It looks nice, but it needed like 80 or 100K just to fix this up, even though it's in pretty good shape. But I don't really know what they were planning on doing with it. Like, it's crazy how nice this was. Anyhow, forget that house because that's like a complete standout weird house that, you know, really has nothing to do with the comps. We just were looking at it because we were curious. I literally stopped in that house out of complete ADHD curiosity. Like, what in the world? And they end up selling it for 3 and a quarter, which is insane. Here's Parkmont, 1,900 square feet. You know, that one went for 285. Our Parkmont that we're looking at, we'll take a look, but this is a nice rehab. Looks like they opened it up. Doesn't have that many bedrooms. Oh, it's actually active, so let's pass on that one. And let's see what our next one is. That's my house. So that went for 272, whatever. So let's look at ours real quick. I'll get you guys to mute yourself unless you have a question. Okay, hey, I got you. I took care of it. Okay, so our house, let's take a quick look at ours that's listed. Active Parkmont, 109. Let's just look at ours very quickly. So it's a very big house at 1,800 square feet. It's currently 3.3. It looks nice. It has this big porch on it. I mean, this house fixed up looks like it would be nice. To me, I'm seeing wires. See the pipes on the outside? Like, see the wires on the outside of the wall? This house needs wiring, probably needs plumbing. This thing needs a full renovation. The fact that all the wires on the outside of the wall is, and you know, it's radiators and everything, this thing has not been updated properly. So it looks like some of the doors are newer and all this stuff looks kind of nice, but you're going to end up gutting this place. So this house is just going to cost a decent amount of money. This literally is probably about 85, 90K. So I'd probably put 90. This don't really work. Even at 90K, let's call this 200 invested. I have no doubt. I mean, the question would be, can we finish the basement? On mine, I got 273. Oh, this is Charlie Parish again. God. Multi-unit, 3 apartments. So this might be a better play for that, like a multi-unit. I don't know if I'd rehab this. You're going to spend 90K, but it's also been out there forever at 476 days. And Charlie Parish will actually keep it forever, never negotiate. So let's leave that one alone. We're going to pass on that one. Oh, actually, you know what? How did we even get to that one? Sorry, guys. That was not the one we were looking for. We're comping the other property, right? And this is a Ridgeview. There we go. Okay, so we're looking for some Ridgeviews. Sorry, guys. I got mixed up in thinking that Parkmont. Anyhow, the Parkmont property was on our list, but now we know to pass on that. And we're looking for Ridgeview, the one that we liked. Okay, so Ridgeview would be 2,000 square feet. So they got 285 for that. That was built in 2009, so we're going to pass on that. Mine didn't have a basement. It's a very different house, but I didn't have a basement. This has a full big basement, nice yard and stuff. So, you know, we could think that we're probably in that ballpark. I know I threw a 250 on it or 260 on it, I think, but there's some solid evidence that 1,700, 421, 285, you know, minus like some numbers. There's some solid evidence. They go straight to 260 though. 2,300 square feet on Everall. Cave on 247. That only says it's 650 square feet, but I'm assuming it's more than that. 2,100 square feet on Green Hill. Green Hill's not as nice. So I'm thinking. So where did we run that at? Did we run that at 250 or 260? Let's try 250, 70. Oh yeah, actually, that's where I think we ran it. Now let's see. It's a little tighter, so maybe it's like a 110. Because I'm only thinking like 250. I kind of know it's worth more than that, but let's keep looking because this deal's so close. You see, I'm not giving up on it because it's so close. Because I know that Valley View is a good street. It's a much better street than most of these other streets. Ridgeview, I mean, Ridgeview, and Ridgeview is actually really nice because you can see they had this crazy house on it. It's actually a much nicer street than most of these. And you can do the basement, you can do everything. I mean, I couldn't believe you wouldn't get 260 for this house. Because see, this is actually a little different part of the area, but because it's crossing the street right there, we're over here. But nice looking rehab in general. I mean, can't even tell with the weird pictures. It made it look like a dream house. Put a lot of tile on the walls and stuff. I can't even tell what's going on in there. Yeah, so finished basement. We know we can finish the basement on that house. I think I put that at a 260 or 250, but I can't really remember. And now that I'm looking at the comps again, this is 1119, so it's a year ago. I mean, I'm probably going to guess with knowing how good that street is and everything. Maybe we can split the difference at 255, and I don't think you'd be going too crazy. I mean, maybe 260. I don't think 255. And I do believe 70. It's like, you might be able to cut it under 70 because it's a pretty nice house, as you've seen. And that might get us to a 115 offer, which is kind of important. If we can get to 115 on this, you likely can get this deal done. Maybe. But so I think you could offer full price, and these are the numbers I would use. And I would get on the phone with them and see if you can get a deal done. And the deal we were talking about, in case you guys don't remember, was Ridgeview. Let me pull it back up. Okay, it's going to be towards the bottom. This is mine. I bought this one. So you can see I bought this on Brook for 106. It's a good deal. It's worth 270. Comps are high for whatever reason on that street. It's always street to street. But I guess if you think if comps are that high there, I can't, like, how's that selling for 270? But it's that street. There was comps like crazy on that street. So it's Ridgeview. It's 6101 Ridgeview. And I do think it's easily 2,000 square feet. I can't see how we can't get that number. But it's a street-to-street neighborhood. So at the end of the day, I mean, I got 260, 270 on mine, but there's comps right on my street that sold for that. But that doesn't mean that 2 streets over, or, that it would actually sell for anything more, because you don't know. And so you do really need to pay attention to the stuff on the street as much as possible, because every street can be very different. So, but I do like this deal. I've seen this house. It's a very nice house on a very nice street. I don't think you'll have any issues. You pay full price for it. You can make around 32K on it. I do think there's a chance to cut the cost down because there was definitely some savable stuff in the house. It has a great look to it in the front already. There's a lot good going on. So I like that house, and I like the Glenmore would probably be the two that I would probably focus on right now, guys. So, like, you guys have the information. I'll let you know if the showing comes in for the Glenview, but you can also try to call the agent. That would be my recommendation. You start attacking the agent. They're going to be like, the agent's going to be wondering what's going on when everyone's calling them. Any questions?
I do have a follow-up question. Nobody has a question about the MLS.
Good.
Okay. So, kind of piggyback on my question earlier about the insurance company. So they reached back out to me later on, earlier today, and they were asking, and I told them that I was going to GC it myself, and she was saying that, like, not a good idea because I guess we're new to this and stuff like that. And I
Are
was
you doing with the
saying, like,
insurance company?
yeah,
So hold on. Who you called my insurance company, but who did you talk to?
Donna Moran.
Donna Moran? I mean, just ask for Brandon and just tell Brandon. Just say, hey, Mike works with branding. We're just trying to get exactly what Mike gets. Just can I talk with Brandon? Because like Matt Moran or Brandon is who handles my accounts. Just ask for Brandon and say, Brandon, can I get the same thing Mike Green gets? And they're going to be like, cool, here's what Mike Green gets. So
Okay.
just ask
Yeah,
her to talk to Brandon and just say, hey, I just want to get the same thing Mike gets. And I don't really need your opinion whether I should be doing something or not. I mean,
right. Yeah.
it's an insurance company. So I don't know who she is. I've never dealt with her, but these guys have been doing my insurance forever, and I deal with Brandon. So Brandon, if you ask for him, he'll have that done. Like, in the time that you went back and forth with them today, I've had them have my insurance ready and done in 10 minutes. So like, you're already probably spending too much time on it, but often, I've built a relationship. So, talking to the right person always helps because, if you talk to some random person, then you kind of have to work through the details with them and explain to them and tell them what you're doing. You tell them that like, you're not new to this. You're going to have me basically GCing with you. So, and they know who I am. She should know who I am. Got to be one of her bigger clients. We give them a lot of business. So just tell her that like, no, I'm going to be, I'm my own GC, but I got Mike working with me, like project managing with me. But
and that's what I was.
Why is that even an issue? Just say, why is that an issue? Do you guys write insurances or not? Mike has accounts set up with Brandon. He recommended me to you. I have other people I can use if that's not going to work. So you got to get a little thorough with them. Just be like, look, do you want the business? Yes or no? And can you give me the exact same pricing, exactly what Mike Green gets?
And what's the pricing again?
Oh, I don't know. It's different for every house, but just let them know that like the insurances I get, you want the exact same thing. I always go for the cheapest stuff, the bare minimum of what I need, but keeping myself protected. But I don't need a bunch of fluffy stuff that don't matter.
Gotcha.
We have a certain,
she was also asked.
we have a certain deal worked out where we get what's called 3-month minimum earn. So meaning like 3 months you sold the house, you have to pay for the rest of it because they make you pay for the year up front. The lenders do that too. Right? So your lenders will make you pay for a year up front, but you want the ability to come back and get a refund if you don't use the whole year.
Okay. And then, so she's also asking, and this probably goes back to the same answer you just gave me, but she's also requiring that we have like the subcontractors, the contractors come in, have their own insurance. Is that something that we, you recommend, Mike?
You tell her no. First of all, you call tomorrow and just ask for Brandon.
Okay.
And just be like, hey, Brandon, I talked with Donna, but I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I was supposed to talk to you. Mike, I'm working with Mike Green. Just say Mike Green's my partner, right? I'm doing a deal with Mike Green or whatever. Say he's my partner. I don't even care. Just be like, he's my partner. I just need to get insurance for our property. He told me to call you. The same thing we normally get. That's it. And the conversation ain't going to be like, I don't know what she's talking about. I ain't never heard of her. I mean, as soon as she sounds like she obviously might be the owner of the company or something.
Right.
But I mean, honestly, the guy, Matt Moran, who I thought owned the company, maybe, I don't know, he could be his wife, mother, I don't know. But he's the one I set all this up with. And so just call Brandon, ask for Brandon. You'll get a hold of him. So I made a mistake. I was talking to Di. She's made this very complicated. I'm partners with Mike Green. He's, somehow she was asking me about telling me I shouldn't do this stuff myself. I needed to get like license and insurance for my people. You just say, I'm doing it myself. Like, it's all good, man. I'm doing what Mike Green does. It's that simple. And she's like, what's that? Talk to Mike Green, talk to Brandon, talk to somebody else. Do you guys want this business? Yes or no? If not, call someone else, but I ain't never really had a problem. I think you just got the wrong person on the phone, obviously, who kind of doesn't know what's going on.
Okay. Thank you.
Maybe she's like the closer, maybe she's the one that knows how to get like a bunch of stupid insurances out of people that you don't need.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
You'll be leaving there $3,800 for the insurance, right?
That's what it actually sounded like, honestly.
Sure, honestly, she's probably, she's the one you don't want to talk to. You want to talk to the guy. It's like, he's the guy I talked to who's not even an insurance agent. He's like someone's assistant. It's like, we get it so good deal. They can't even afford to like put us with a real insurance agent because we're just like, look, we get the same thing on every house. Like, just keep it simple. I'll give you repeat business and, it's how we do things. You know, we're
Okay.
not overpaying, because if it doesn't seem like a fair price, then you're going to shop it.
Right.
But I've shopped it many times, and they've always, the deal I get with Brandon M has always been the best. But I don't want her trying to throw you into something new or different.
Right, and that's what it feels like. 'Cause it feels like she's going to come with a high quote. She keeps talking about
Well,
other
yes.
insurance companies are going to, look
Yeah,
at
yeah,
it
yeah.
a certain way.
We'll just say your insurance company works with Michael Green, right? My partner, right? Just say got me the deal, and he's working with me on this.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to know what our partnership is. A partnership
Mm-hmm.
can let me list it on the back end, and we're partners, right? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I mean, you get my point, right? I mean,
Right.
you don't have to know what our partnership is, but just say my partner, Mike Green, said to come here. I guess I've made a mistake and talked to the wrong person, because this sounds like nothing like what he said. And just ask for Brandon. Just say, Brandon, I made a mistake. I just want to, I talked to Donna, but she was going down some paths that didn't make any sense. I work with Mike Green. He told me to call you and get the normal insurance he gets on the property. All you have to tell them, they're going to ask you 2 questions. And that question is going to be, who's making the loan? You tell him Gary Zensky. He knows exactly who that is. Lakewood, right? That's the name. He'll know Gary. He knows exactly how to write the insurance policy. And then he's going to ask you, how much are you paying for it, and how much work are you putting in it? That's what he's going to give you insurance for. So that's it. There's 3 questions that he needs to know, and then he'll be like, I'll get back with you. And that's it.
All right, and that's Brandon Moran, you said?
No, Brandon's his name. He ain't Moran, but it's Brandon. He's basically Matt Moran's assistant. So I just kind of work with his assistant now, because that's but he'll know exactly what to do, and he's on top of it, man. I've had times where I forgot to get it and called him at settlement, and they had it 10 minutes later. I mean, they're when you're talking to obviously the right person. So this is a really good, this was awesome, kind of just as a little neat thing to pay attention to. Even the insurance company, when you call and you ask them versus telling them, they ready to get you to buy life insurance policies on yourself in case you die during the rehab, terrorist attack coverage, because it's you're asking them. She starts trying to tell you versus I'm like, dude, I need builder's risk. That's it, man. You guys want to write that policy? And what's the cheapest version you can give me? And let's go over the details that matter. But if you talk to Brandon, you don't have to worry about this. Just tell him you're my partner. And if there seems to be any issues, I'll jump on a quick call with him. But I don't think there will be once you talk to Brandon, because just tell him you're my partner, and he'll just give you the insurance the way I get it. And he'll expect, because he knows I'm very anal. I check on him every couple months. I audit all this stuff. I make sure that insurances aren't getting changed, prices ain't getting changed. That he's giving me my checks back. So I'm kind of on his butt all the time, because we've spent a lot of money with them every year. You think about it, it's just $1,500 or $1,000 a house times 40 houses. That's quite a bit of money. It's $60,000-$70,000 a year.
Hey, Petey.
Hey.
Hey, Steve and I had dealt with Brandon, and we had no problem. He don't ask no questions. He don't ask nothing.
No, man. He's exactly. It's fast.
It was painless.
You done got somebody. It's I don't even know. She just doesn't know what we got going on. Probably she's out the loop, I guess.
Yeah, she does not. She just.
Yeah.
Right. I just called them and said that, I got your number from Mike Green. This is what we need. And I had it same day.
All right. Appreciate that, Senator.
Call
no
me.
Problem.
It'll be a different experience, because I've never heard of this lady, but obviously I don't want to disrespect her. She sounds like she might own the company or something, but I don't know. She's just not, we have something going on that's all good. We've actually spent a lot of time negotiating with him over the years. When we were doing 150 deals a year, he was our guy, and we negotiated the crap out of him all the time, because we knew, we were doing a lot of volume. And then honestly, if we work with him, then other people work with them. They get a lot of business from you guys, students and everyone else. And how many friends do I have who's now using them? I know 7-8 full-time flippers that are using them locally that I've told about them. So they're getting a lot of business overall. So it's all
Appreciate
good.
that, Mike. All right.
Okay, cool, man. Anyone else have any questions? And
Hey, Mike.
Hey.
So, I went to a realtor that I know to ask him if I could get access, to use him, to use the MLS. He kind of told me that his company doesn't allow that. And, if I asked him if he knows anybody else, he's kind of giving me I don't know, a hard time. So I just kind of wanted to hear your thoughts or other recommendations about getting access.
Well, his company allows him to have assistants. So you say, "Can I be your assistant?" And what I'll
I
do for
did.
you
I
in
said that
return.
afterwards, and he was just like, "No,
Yeah,
I
if
don't
he
think
doesn't want
so
to do
about
it, then cool. Then just say, "Hey, well, I'll give the business to someone else," because you're going to get the back end listing. I'm trying to decide who gets the back end listing.
Yeah. After I kind of
Arrange.
explained it to him, then he was like, "It's risky." So clearly, he's not the
It's
person for me.
not risky. I mean, there's no risk. If you're a legal assistant, you can do whatever you want. What do you think about what you're doing for him? And you truly are his assistant. If he makes you his assistant, what are you going to do? You're going to go out and look for a deal. You're going to renovate it and then give him a listing. So you basically are out there working to get listings for him that he ain't got to do nothing to do, right? I mean, he ain't got to do nothing for him. And if it's a HUD, if you go out and you find HUDs and you're like, "Hey, I found a HUD," as your assistant, can you put the offer in for me? He's going to go do it, right? I mean, you effectively, I would hire an assistant who went and found deals for me and made me money because that's what you're doing. So you're right. If he can't get that, then he's the wrong guy. But I mean, most people would have a little common sense. You are actually going out and putting work in, and what you're doing. Here's why it's valuable. So I think it's like everything. It's about how you sell it. Why it's really valuable for them is instead of you having them do all the work, right, and weighing them down with that search that you got to do every day consistently, maybe it's an hour a day, you're doing it. So that is truly you assisting them. Now, when an offer gets put in that you don't go directly to the agent, and maybe it's a HUD offer or prop offers or something where it don't make sense, then they're going to have them put it in, right? And they're going to get the opportunity for the buy in that case. And then you can give them the back end listing. So now they're getting listings, right? They're getting opportunity on some buy, and they're going to get every back end because you're their assistant. So if they can't get the whole assistant thing, then guess what? You really don't want them listing your back end property, because it means they're not going to get anything, right? They're kind of like not flexible. They're not smart. You need someone that's got a little slickness to them that's going to be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like if they can't see value in that, then you basically are just weeding them out. So a lot of times people get upset because like a couple people say no, but think of like, you're interviewing someone for the opportunity for you to assist them in finding deals for them. So I don't know. It's a valuable thing for a realtor to do. And it's not really a headache for them to do it because it gets paid for and you have to pay for it. They're just making you their assistant and then they have to pay for it. So, I mean, there might be someone in the group. Hey. Oh, yes. You might want to ask someone in the group, and that's a realtor, and ask them if they need an assistant and just say, yeah, I'll give you the back end listing and, any offers I can't do directly. Because I imagine like if my broker wasn't so weird, I would do it for everyone. But my broker she's a lawyer, so she makes everything a headache. And I'm like, I just don't have time to be messing with her. But
I guess so. You think I should just maybe post in the group and see?
Might be a good next step, yeah, for sure. Because I mean, there might be someone in the group. I mean, listen, if you're making that deal, I can't imagine who doesn't want that deal, right? I mean, who doesn't want you going out looking for deals, and then and then giving them selective, well thought out offers to put in for you. Because think about how you just seen all the time we took weeding through those properties and picking the best opportunity, right? And imagine, just think of that process that we just did. The agent would be doing that. First of all, they wouldn't know how to do that. So they're going to be doing something much worse. They're going to be, here's what my agent used to do. I would look all weekend at properties and I'd say, hey, we need to see these 10 properties. They would get in a car and drive me to see 10 properties in a day. And we'd be out for 9 hours seeing properties. And they do that every Monday when I was new. And then they would put in all kind of offers. I mean, they might put in 15, 20 offers for me to get one. Imagine the paperwork. Imagine the poor trees that are dead right now because of my inefficiency. I'm probably rainforest is missing because of my first couple of years of being in business before there was DocuSign. And guess what? How long do you think that realtor lasted? That realtor made no money because that was my fault. It was my bad. I didn't know, right? I was not doing them well. I thought I was hooking them up, but I really was making the realtor just run in a lot of circles and she couldn't make any money, honestly. And she wasn't that great, and she messed up one of our back end listings and we had to fire her. Because she told me it was worth $325 and it ended up being worth $250. So we lost 30 some thousand. We had to let her go. But that was probably a good thing for her. She was upset, but she probably didn't realize it. It was actually probably the best thing that could ever happen for her because the way we were working at the time and us not doing our own work was actually meant she was doing it all. So what we did as soon as we fired her is we started doing our own work, and we found someone to make us their assistant, because they thought clearly, like, well, look, I'll make you my assistant. You can do all that searching, and then like just let me know if you need me.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were giving them
Yeah, I
business. Right?
tried to tell him
Awesome.
that, and he was like, "I don't mind searching. It's my job." So.
No, but he doesn't. Okay, first of all, he don't know how to do it, and he's going to get in your
Mm-hmm.
way. So it's not. I don't need you to search. I am willing to do the work for you. Period. So if you don't know them that well, then obviously, or or whatever. I mean, not everyone's going to have the high level thought process.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can't get this, they're not going to get what you need to do on the back end to sell it for the most money. So just know that, right? So it's a qualification thing, and basically you don't have to worry about the rejection of it, because not everyone's going to be okay with it. Not everyone's going to have a broker that's okay with it. But if you get to the right people, you'll be fine. If it starts to get too problematic, I'll talk with my broker and see if I can, maybe work something out, because I really kind of would be awesome if I could do that for some people in the group. And, if you guys want to get on the MLS and kind of get serious about that. I'm working for David to get automated listings too. So I can send you guys the listings every day. So I can actually, if you tell me where you want to be, I can have the MLS can be set up where it'll automatically send you every new listing every day. And we can criteria it out where it'll only send you the good stuff.
All right, well, that would be helpful too.
Yeah, well, I wish I knew how to do it. They just switched the MLS a couple months ago, and I don't actually know how to do it correctly. So I just need to sit down. Like tomorrow, I told David in a couple days I'll have it done. Yeah, I put it on our to-do list with Tanya, and we have to sit down and do the training. I'm sure it's very simple. I used to know how to do it, but when they switched it, the way I used to do it didn't work. I did it for Gigi and Linda, and it seemed like it didn't work very well. So I got to figure out why it wasn't working. But yeah, so we can get you that at a minimum, right? And then I can obviously get you comps and everything. But keep trying. I think I had to ask like 2 or 3 people before they were willing to do it. But it is important, if you set the relationship up, that they're just going to let you be their assistant. And they're just going to be like, cool, like this is no skin off my back, and I get deals, period, right? I'm going to get deals. Like, I don't know what realtor.
So there's no risk that you could think of.
What would be the risk making you their assistant? I mean, you're not.
I don't know. Like, if there's any legality
None
issue.
at all. Well, I mean, it's legality if they were like selling it or something, like if you were paying them to do it, or you were doing some criminal stuff, but you're just looking for deals and you're giving them the back end listing. So legitimately you were doing an assistant's job. You're assisting them in finding deals. Mm-hmm. Right? Because if they're going to get does it make sense? Well, first of all, you almost have to make sense of the opportunity in order to explain it to them.
Mm-hmm.
And
no,
listen,
what you're saying makes sense to me.
Yeah, it makes sense, but not everyone. You're going to say it just like I said it, and people are going to be like, "What?" And they just ain't going to get it. Not everyone, but someone will. I promise you. Because if you really think about it, like you are actually assisting them. You're not doing anything like wrong. You're assisting them. Like, I'm going to go out and find a deal for me to flip. I'm going to give you the back end listing. I'm essentially assisting you, but I want to do the work myself, because like, here's how it's going to work. If I can go direct to the agent, that's going to be the best bet. If you put the offer in, like, you can explain to them, like, we're going to get put in a pile. We're not going to be able to get any kind of leverage. The only way deals are getting done on the MLS right now is going directly to the agent and getting the agent to inside track it for us. Now with that, one thing I will give you, and I can guarantee, is I'll give you the back end listing. So as soon as I'm done the renovation, I'm going to flip it. You get to put it on the market, which is better, by the way, because, I would prefer to have the listing at 250 versus at 100 or 90, right? So they're going to get the better end of the listing. That's going to actually show pretty profitable. But you also can get some of my offers when it's not interfering with me winning, because I don't want to waste your time. Like, the reason we don't get them to put the offers in, it's not like we're cutting them out or we're trying to be cheap. We're actually doing them a favor and trying to save them the waste of time. I mean, because like, they don't see this, but I can tell you, I've seen this with every student that's been in this program. That's like, oh no, I'm working with my friendo. And, and the next thing you know, 2 months later, like, I can't get a deal. And I'm like, yeah, when you going to start working with your friend? Like, oh, but he'll be so mad at me. I'm like, well, just tell him that, like, is he mad at you right now because you went and seen 30 houses? Like, is he out of gas yet? Like, come on. I mean, he's going to run out of gas soon. Like, looking at how many houses will you look at before you determine what you're doing is not working. And eventually then the agent gets it, but unfortunately they got to go through the headache of wasting your time and energy, like your really valuable time in the program. And that's what we don't want to do, right? We don't want to go 2 months doing the wrong thing because an agent can't get their head wrapped around. So don't worry if one person doesn't get it, because like we said, we were talking about this in the higher level group earlier. A big part of what we do is we see things very 1%, not 99%, very against the grain. But what we're doing is really efficient. It works really well, but it does not, everyone's going to understand it, and not everyone's going to be on board with it. So we basically are just looking for the people who think similarly, who kind of understand where we're coming from, who can actually calculate that it makes sense. There's always someone, right? There's always, and like I said, yes, ask in the group, because I know a couple people have licenses in the group, and I don't know if that's something they can do, like, people can do. If they're getting a back end listing, they might be willing to do it. Because
Oh yeah, I'll try. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Mike, it's Kim, and maybe this might be a little helpful for Ashley. In addition to looking in the group, is also there's a lot of realtors that go to the meetups, and those realtors are investor-friendly realtors. So I think there's a higher chance of finding a broker, a realtor at an investor meeting that would be open to that. Like, because from experience, my best friend is a broker, and she would not give me assistant access, and we've been friends forever, and she just couldn't wrap her head around it, just like you were saying. But the guy who runs the investor meeting has a broker in his office, and he made it happen for me, because they know that I'm going to give them all the back end listings. So the group and the investor meetings, I struggled with this early on, was getting the access, but now that I have it, I mean, you pay your own fee to have that assistant access, but it's been great. I wish I could get more deals where I am, but nonetheless, I love the fact that I have that assistant access, not being a realtor
That's
myself.
super good advice. And how you could turbocharge that would be, instead of going to the meetings, go on the discussion boards for some of the big ones and post that, like, hey, I'm an investor. I got money to do my first flip. I'm looking for someone who'll make me their assistant. And here's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking for someone to make me the assistant and give me some access to the MLS. I'll give you the back end listings. I'll do all the work. I'm just looking for someone who can list my back end only, but I need, in return, I would need assistant accent. Take and just write that out, copy and paste it, and go to the Baltimore RIA discussion board. You can just go on meetup.com and join, or, you can go join their discussion board. You can do Baltimore RIA, Rehabber Pro. What is Charles Blair's? Charles Blair's Real Deal Meetup, Rehabber Pro. BWI meetup, right? There are like 4 of them that have really big discussion boards. And if you just took and copy and pasted that, I imagine you're going to get a lot of people like saying, hey, I'm interested. Because you're basically, it's almost like everything we do, right? You're basically calling saying, hey, you willing to do like 15 minutes work to make me your assistant so that I can start just giving you listings? And it's no skin off their back, because like I said, it takes them time to do it. But, at the end of the day, they could get a deal. If you end up doing a deal, they're going to get the back end listing, and that's like $5 to $7K in commission.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I'll definitely try that.
Yeah, really good feedback, Kim. Thank you. I never thought of that, so I learned that today, because I mean, it makes total sense, by the way, as a very efficient way of doing it. We always love anything that gets us in front of a lot of people, because I think what Kim was saying too is it's not even about like a friend or who because you're only going to know a couple people, but it's more about getting in front of a bunch of people, and then one person saying, man, I do that all day long. Let's do it. Free money. And there's definitely someone in there that'll be okay doing it if you post that, like maybe post it daily until your phone starts ringing too much, then stop posting.
All right, I'll try it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Who else has some questions before we go? I got time for one more question, then we're going to be out of here. Okay, well, what I'm going to do, and before we go, is I am going to post the deals we looked at this evening on our Facebook group. And I'll do that before I get up from the computer so I don't forget. And I'm just going to have a link to those listings, right? Essentially a link to them. You're not going to be able to see the agent. So it's going to give you the house, the number, and all that. You'll have to go on like Zillow and try to find the actual listing agent, not just some random agent. So you have to try to just maybe look up the property and look for the agent listing it. But don't be careful and make sure it's not another agent that's showing the property but isn't the actual agent. And if you get confused or you need some help, feel free to reach out. But most of the part you should be good. And hopefully you guys on the couple ones that were important, you got some of the information we were looking at, because some of those deals make sense. And there's a couple we didn't really dig into, but they totally had some juice on them. But the way my brain works and the way I want to teach you is, even though we had 6 houses to look at, did you see how we didn't look at all 6 of them in detail? We picked the best 2 and then did comps on it. And then as we looked at both of those, they actually looked pretty legitimate. So I didn't look at the other 4 because, see, I don't have the capacity, and I believe you probably won't either, especially if you have a full-time job. You're not going to have the capacity to look at all 6 of them thoroughly. So you have 2 choices: to hone in on 1 or 2 and be thorough about it, or try to look at all 6 and be very loose about it and not really dive in, not go all in, right? And we want to go all in. When we see something that makes sense, it's like blood being in the water and you need to become the shark, right? Like there's somebody's bleeding, you got to go eat some dinner. So that's how it is, because these things go, like when opportunity comes, even if it's been on the market 40 days, I've seen things on the market 40 days, they hit the right price and they go into multiple offers. So like, as much as you might be like, oh, they've been out there a while at that price. I mean, if the number is good and it's actually a good number, it will not stay at that price very long. That's been my experience. That is how we win on the MLS. That's the secret to beating the MLS, is that when there is something priced well, you got to jump on it. So those 2 that I talked to you guys about, it would be awesome if you guys jump on. If you got any questions, feel free. You can text me, you can email me, because if there's anything I can help with as far as like trying to lock any of those up, they both look very good. And I love the Ridgeview one, and the one on Glenmore looked really awesome also. So if I was right now looking for deals, I basically tomorrow morning I'd be going in my car to see it. Right, I try to see what's going on with it and trying to lock that thing up, because I think between 2 of them, there could be a deal there. And then, somehow there isn't, then you just keep doing the same thing over and over, right? Or maybe we go to the rest of the list. But I'll put the whole list on, but make sure you focus on the first 2 that we've already kind of verified as being the best opportunity for now. And if, as you go through those opportunities they start to kind of like not turn into anything and metabolize, then you move on and start looking at the other ones. And that process is what we do over and over and over, and it never doesn't work, honestly, because we just keep diving deeper and deeper until it does. So anyhow, just some final remarks, and let's give you that. And if you guys want to check on the Facebook in about 5 minutes, I'll have the link up. Okay. Everyone have a good couple days, and I will see you guys next week. And again, if there's anything you need, post to the Facebook group. Feel like emails, any of that works. Okay. Have a good evening, everyone.
Cool. Thanks, Mike.
See you guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.